to the tractor boys, the eagles to the seagulls, gunners, bees, hammers and magpies, Premier League teams have got a load of crazy nicknames. Ever wondered where they came from? Let's start with Everton. They're dubbed the Toffees, but why? Well, because when the club was formed, just down the road there were two local toffee shops. Ye Ancient Everton Toffee House and Mother Noblet's Toffee Shop were big fan favourites. Next, they say if you can't beat 'em, join 'em, and that's exactly what Ipswich Town did when it came to their nickname. The term tractor boys used to be chanted by their opponents as a way of putting the team down for their farming background. But during one game back in the late 90s, Ipswich were 1-0 up and they decided to flip the script. 1-0 to the tractor boys, they sang, and a new nickname was born. Let's head to Leicester, famous for more than just a red, well, orangey cheese and Jamie Vardy. Leicestershire's also the birthplace of fox hunting, hence the Foxes. Next up, turns out apples are not the only fruit that don't fall far from the tree. Bournemouth's nickname, the Cherries, comes from the fact the club's stadium was originally built right next to a bunch of cherry orchards. This next story actually involves two club nicknames. It started with Crystal Palace. They were having an absolute nightmare run back in the early 70s. They'd been relegated after a terrible spell and manager Malcolm Allison decided enough was enough. He wanted a new nickname, something strong, fast and destined for success. Something exactly like an eagle. But there's more to this one. Brighton were in search of a nickname too, and Palace finally gave them what they needed. In a heated match between the two back in 1976, Palace fans began chanting, "Eagles, Eagles." And some clever Brighton fans came up with the perfect reply, "Seagulls, Seagulls." Not all club nicknames have a crazy story though. Take the Gunners. That just comes from the fact a group of munitions workers in the Royal Arsenal factory in Woolwich set up the club in 1886. On the flip side, some nicknames seem simple, but there's a bit more to them. Like West Ham. The Hammers is actually nothing to do with the ham part of the name. It comes from the fact the club used to be called Thames Ironworks FC and was made up of workmen and shipbuilders. So next time the away end's chanting their crazy nickname, you'll now know exactly where it came from.
Welcome to it. It is Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Spencer Oliver alongside me. We've got an action-packed show. We're going to get stuck into all the major talking points from the world of boxing. We'll sprinkle in a little bit of MMA as well, no doubt, with it being UFC 320 tonight. And, of course, next weekend we're going to be live from Sheffield. So we'll give you a full preview of everything that's going on with the Dave Allen, Arslan Beck, Makhmudov fight coming from the Steel City. If you want to get involved with the show, you're more than welcome to do so. Phone lines are open. 03717 22 3344. It's Fight Night on talkSPORT. We ain't done a studio show together for ages, have we?
No, we haven't, mate. It's been too long.
Nice to be back in your company,
The
pal.
A-team is back, mate.
We'll get stuck in tonight. Listen, Fight Night started about 15 minutes early tonight. Don't know if you heard, but Paddy the Baddie phoned into Rory's show to talk all things Liverpool, giving it a little bit of the old sprinkle of the old fight sports early doors, getting people excited, you see? That's what we like to see, mate. That's what we like to see. Anyway, we'll start with a little bit of a preview of next weekend's show because we are back bringing you live action. We're going to be in Sheffield next weekend. Heavyweights are on deck. Dave Allen's got a massive opportunity. Did suck the air over the teeth when it was first announced, but maybe I was thinking of what the landscape of this heavyweight division looked like maybe 2 to 3 years ago. If this was made 2 to 3 years ago, I'd have said this is absolutely crackers matchmaking. Why are we doing this fight? Now, it all looks a little bit different. And as I analyse the fight, mate, I think Dave might be able to do a bit next weekend.
I fancy him.
Do you?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think you're right, if you would have mentioned this, before Agit Kabayel beat Makhmudov back in 2023, you looked at that guy and you go, he is the danger man of the division. Actually, he may go on to be the king of the division. And he got found out a little bit by Kabayel and has since lost a couple since then, to lower opposition. But still a dangerous guy, but when you go back to 2023, you go, if you would have mentioned Dave Allen versus Makhmudov, you'd have, it's a crazy conversation.
Yeah.
Now, I truly believe that Dave will weather the early storm from Makhmudov, who's very, very strong, very persistent, but defensively very poor. And he does come apart as well. We've seen that in recent times. And I just think Dave Allen has too much savvy about him. He's very durable. He rides the shots really well. And you look at it and you go, yeah, I fancy this.
I think that's the key thing, what you just said there, that he is durable and he rides them shots very, very well. What we've seen with Makhmudov, up to the point of Agit Kabayel, he was having all his own way. He was beating people up on the front foot. He was kind of a bit of a flat-track bully. Agit Kabayel was having none of it. Now, don't get me wrong. Agit Kabayel, Dave Allen, when we're talking about skill set, and I'm sure Dave will admit this himself, Agit is one of the very best heavyweights on the planet right now. So it takes a little bit of something special to be able to do what Agit did on that particular night. But he wasn't having any of it from Makhmudov, walked him down, took his shots and put it on him and bullied the bully in a way. We kind of saw it in the fight after that as well against Vianello. He got one win back, didn't he, did Makhmudov? And then he had another fight where he got stopped against Vianello over in, I think it was in Canada that the fight took place. But again, the exact same thing. Bit of confidence. The aura of the man had kind of worn off. Vianello put it on him a little bit, and he didn't like it. Now, if there's anybody that you would back in the UK to be able to weather a storm, come through a storm and put it on somebody, Dave Allen might be the guy that you'd probably come up with.
Absolutely. You look at the Caballero and the Vianello fight that you're talking about there, and early on they were using a bit of movement, which by the way Dave Allen can do. He's not just a he's not just a guy that can come forward on the front foot, boxes well on the back foot as well. His boxing IQ is very good, and that's what they've done. They let Makhmudov punch himself out for a couple of rounds because he gasses quite early as well. I think we've witnessed that in both fights. And the Vianello one, he got a horrendous swollen eye.
Yeah.
And he just come to pieces. It's not just a gradual thing.
Yeah.
It's like he pushes forward and then he'll just fall apart. But what I noticed against in the Vianello defeat was defensively, he's terrible. He comes forward, he carries that left hand low, he walks in a straight line and he just doesn't move his head. And if he does go back, he goes back on that same straight line. Well, Dave Allen is a different type of character. He'll slip, he'll slide, he rolls the shoulders, he sets traps, throws shots like the stabbing jab down the body and the right hand over the top, which Dave Allen is very good at, by the way. That is the key to knocking Makhmudov out, because Makhmudov carries those hands low, that stabbing jab, and then whipping it over like you're bowling a bowling ball. That's the sort of shot, and I think that Vianello used that a lot as well. So I think that with Jamie Moore, Nigel Travis in the corner, of Dave Allen, they're great tacticians. They're students. They're students of the sport of boxing. They know it inside out, and they'll come up with the right game plan.
It feels like everything's come together nicely for Dave. Because you've just mentioned the lads in the corner. I think meeting them, working with them, that seems to be the perfect gel for Dave. You've got to find the right people, haven't you, that you're comfortable with in the corner. And I think he's found that. But also, as well as that, he's grown up a bit, hasn't he? He's become a dad himself. His life's a lot more fruitful than it was maybe 5-6 years ago when he first burst onto the scene. He's matured an awful lot, and I think he's really appreciating the opportunities that are coming his way. He feels maybe he'll correct me here, but it feels like he's taking it seriously, and he's a dangerous guy when he's taking it seriously.
Adam, there's a newfound love for the sport. When a fighter's not really in love with the sport and he's half-hearted in it, and we saw that with Dave Allen. You saw the condition he's in, and you look at him, and it's quite frustrating because you go, this kid's got talent.
Yeah.
And he's just letting it go. And then we saw the loss against David Price where he retired on his stool and, he had the eye injury himself. And you thought that was back in, 2019? And you think, career pretty much over. And then I watched him boxing on a couple of real small hall shows.
Yeah.
Looking very underwhelming performances. And I just think he's not really there anymore. I think the big days now, the big fights now are behind him. Lucas Brown was his big night at the O2 and he won that in 3 rounds. But he was never really dedicated. I think that Jamie Moore, Nigel Travis have got him in Have you seen the pictures on Instagram and stuff?
Looks a little bit like you, mate.
Don't go that far, mate. Yeah, he's in fantastic shape. He's got himself in great shape, and I just think in shape, in form.
Yeah.
in love with the sport Dave Allen is a problem, a big problem.
Well, let's say he pulls this off next week. And he said, listen, it's still a tough ask, but I mean, you're probably listening to the show now thinking, oh, Dave Allen's turning up next week in Sheffield. He's going to absolutely blast Makhmudov all over the gaff. It could go the other way. He's still a dangerous guy, is Arslanbek Makhmudov. And this is absolutely a step up in class for Dave Allen. We haven't seen him at this proper class for some time. If he pulls this off, what do you want to see next for him?
I'll tell you where he goes next.
Go on.
If he pulls this off, you know, there's rumours circulating, and we'll get into it a bit later, about a USA versus Europe Ryder Cup style sort of show, 5v5, and, you know, widening just the UK, USA, the whole of Europe. I'll tell you where it goes. I think that we could see Dave Allen on that show, because I believe that happens in the first quarter of the year.
Well, there's not that many USA heavyweights. Are you going to say the guy that I think
you know where I'm going? You know where I'm going.
Go on.
Deontay Wilder.
Do you think?
Absolutely.
Do you think they'll make Dave Allen Deontay Wilder?
And guess what? I think he beats him.
Mate.
Now, the Deontay Wilder we've seen, the one that lost to Joseph Parker, and then the one that lost to Zhale Sang, there was nothing left. He was a shell of his former self.
Yeah.
He's scared to throw the hands, you know, and he's open. He's reckless. And I just think that right now, the Dave Allen of today beats Deontay Wilder. And I think that's the fight. And I think that for Dave is a dream. To fight someone like he was once the most feared guy on the planet, you know, and you look at him, he has deteriorated a lot, but he's still there. He's a great salesman, Deontay Wilder, and he'll give it. And I think I think that's the fight we can see. If that will be the prize for Dave Allen if he beats Makhmudov.
Wow. What do you make of the rest of the card? We've got Junaid Boston coming on the programme a little bit later on. He's got himself his rematch, hasn't he, with Bilal Fawaz. I actually thought he was maybe a slight fortunate in the first fight in January, where he ended up a draw. So that's why we're getting a rematch. One judge went Junaid's way, one judge went Bilal's way, and one judge had it 95 apiece over a 10-rounder. I thought he was strong early in the fight, but the back end of the fight, mate, he seemed to have run out of conditioning. He just wasn't there.
Inexperience let him down. I think that he thought that he just had to turn up to beat Fawaz. And I think that's where it was. Fawaz is a good fighter himself. And I think that he went in there, underestimating a fighter can be the worst thing. And then when the fight starts to get tough, like you say, he started very well. But when the fight started getting a little bit tough and things weren't going his way, he couldn't really adapt and he didn't have it. And he seemed to, you know, the engine seemed to go a little bit as well.
It felt like he cut corners in training camp.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like.
That's what I'm saying. And I think that he will have to do a lot more in this one to get the victory. Fawaz is
do you need something? Do you know when you're a young fighter come through? Do you need them? Do you need a little bit of a reality check?
Of course.
Just to straighten your mind out a little bit.
It's called the apprenticeship. It's called, you know, this is the development stage, and you always have that guy that you come up against. You know, I had it against a guy in my third fight, Sean Anderson, who just boxed for the British title. I'm going in there, well, I'm the big I am, aren't I?
Easy work.
You know, I'm the kid they're all building. First round coming forward, I'm putting it on him, southpaw. And this guy never even had a big knockout percentage. So as I'm throwing a right hand, boom, I walk onto a straight left hand. Next thing, all I hear is boom. Next thing I know, I'm on the floor and I get up and I'm trotting across the ring. And I think it was Marcus McDonnell.
Was it?
Marcus McDonnell comes over. I've gone from one side of the ring to the other. He comes over. He's like, "You all right, son?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm all right." Well, I weren't all right. And then he gave me 1, 2. Anyway, I got through the round, and then I ended up taking him out in the third round.
Okay.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it was a wake-up call for me because I nearly threw it because I went in there thinking I just got to turn up. So I weren't really focused on what I should be doing. And that's called the apprenticeship. That's part of the development, and that sets you up for the big nights. And, you know, if Boston is what we think he is, because he's a great young fighter, and I've seen him up in the gym, by the way.
Yeah.
I've seen him training there, and the kid can fight. I like him a lot. But he underperformed that night. Now we're going to see if he's the real deal, because Fawaz is a great fighter, and he may have learnt from that as well.
Yeah.
And so don't just think it's just about Boston changing his game plan, because Fawaz is a great fighter as well. So this is a real fight, a crossroads for both of them, really. Not saying the loser, you know, he can rebuild. Of course he can. But it's going to be interesting to see how Boston now goes into this one, how he approaches it. You know, the game plan will be different, but now he's taking it seriously. We see just how good he is. Great fight. I like it. I like it a lot.
We've also got Josh Padley and Reece Bellotti in the super featherweight division next weekend, and a real talent in Hamza Uddin as well in the flyweight division. They're going to be featured. It's all going to be live on talkSPORT next week. Make sure you come and join me, Spence, and the rest of the gang from Sheffield on talkSPORT next Saturday night. We're talking Moses Itauma next. Don't be going anywhere. You're listening to Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall, Spencer Oliver alongside us. If you miss any part of the show tonight, it'll be available for you in the Fight Night podcast. We're also streaming live on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. We're doing a show on Monday together. I'm on the Simon Show with you.
We are, mate. Talk Boxing. Monday comes out 8 p.m. Monday night. Myself, yourself, Simon,
there you go.
Paul Smith.
Full hit this week.
Full hit, mate. We're going big.
Make sure you're liking and subscribing that talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. That's where all the latest conversation is in and around fight sports. Stuff like this, where we're talking about Moses Itauma. You may have seen, listen, he's the hottest prospect, isn't he, in the heavyweight division. Everybody's talking about him and everybody gets excited about him. We do shows on him every single week where we're thinking, right, what is the route, what is the path, what is his next fight? And obviously we saw off the back of his last performance, which was absolutely fantastic, Turkey Al Sheikh, takes to social media and he says, I want Moses Itauma versus Alexander Usyk. And obviously then people start having a debate about that, pump the brakes or let's go for it or whatever it may be. And everybody gets excited. And that's what we want. We want excitement in the heavyweight division. And Moses Itauma is absolutely bringing that. Now, with one of the sanctioning bodies, he's well ranked with the WBO first and foremost. We all thought that was going to be maybe the next path, whether that title became vacant, maybe it was him versus Joseph Parker. Obviously now we've got Parker versus Woodley, which is a great fight. So what is Itauma going to do next? Well, the IBF offered him a final eliminator for the IBF title, which is currently held by Alexander Usyk. And this has all come about through Efe Ajagba pulling out of a purse bid with Frank Sanchez. Then they put Moses Itauma in there to go for this eliminator. Now, Moses Itauma has come out over the last week or so, or his team, should I say, have come out, the management team have come out and said, listen, we're not going down that path. We are going to reject the IBF final eliminator. First of all, your thought processes on that. Do you know the reasons as to why behind the door? And do you know what the path is going to be for Moses over the next 6 months or so?
Well, I don't know. But
we can speculate. That's what we do on the show. We can try and point it in a direction. Go on.
We know he's WBO number 1, so that position is there. And I think that number 2, who is it? Philip Hrgovic is number 2, or some? Yeah, I think it's Philip Hrgovic.
WBO. Well,
WBO.
You've got Parker who's interim champion.
Yeah, Parker's the interim. Yeah, but we got him as number 1.
Yeah,
Hrgovic number 2. So Parker obviously going in against Woodley, so that piece has come together there. It's going to be interesting to see that fight. We're looking forward to that one. That's October the 25th. And where does Moses Itauma go now? So he didn't want the Frank Sanchez one. I sort of understand that. Sanchez is a slippery customer.
Yeah.
You know, Agit Kabayel, beat him, took him apart, just broke him down to the body, really. Exactly what he done with Makhmudov. But Kabayel is that danger man of the division. Sanchez said he went in there with injuries. He had a knee injury, so he couldn't move the way that he normally does. And that was pretty evident. He wasn't moving the way that he normally does. So there could be some truth in that. And they decided to take a different route. I think that we see Moses Itauma, obviously, December the 13th. Yep. I think we may see him in against... This is me thinking this, by the way. I think we see him in against David Adelaide.
Okay.
David Adelaide's been mentioned. Michael Hunter has been mentioned. I think for Moses and for the British public and the big show they're going to do on the 13th, I think that Adelaide sort of fits the bill maybe a little bit better. So I could be wrong on that, but that's just my thinking. David Adelaide was obviously out in Nigeria. I've just been out there. Moses was out in Nigeria as well. By the way, Moses Itauma out in Nigeria is already a huge star. You go everywhere you go, whether that's in the airport, where when you're going down the street, there's billboards of Moses Itauma.
Really?
They are backing him big time. They are backing. I was blown away by it, if I'm totally honest. We've got like Anthony Joshua with Nigerian descent, and there's a few fighters. With Lawrence Okoli, who was out there, who wants to box out there as well. That could be an interesting one. We could see that. I think they're doing a big show on December the 19th. They're looking to headline with a big heavyweight. So it was interesting seeing all these fighters out there. But we know Moses is fighting on the 13th, so that puts him out of the picture. But yeah, I think we see Moses in with David Adelaide or Michael Hunter. They're the two front runners.
I don't mind either of them. I think Michael Hunter's quite highly ranked with the WBA. For whatever we put any, kudos into these sanctioning bodies with the way that they operate. From a Moses Itauma point of view, I'm going to reserve judgment on coming away from the IBF eliminator until I find out what that opponent is on December the 13th. If it is one of the opponents that you've just highlighted there, I think I'll be quite satisfied with that, because I think Moses Itauma's in a situation right now where he doesn't need eliminators. I think he's well favoured with the money man in the sport.
Yeah.
Turkey Al Sheikh is obviously a massive fan of Moses Itauma. And at the moment, at the top end of this sport, that's what's talking right now, isn't it? Money. We have an elite champion in Alexander Usyk, who's on limited time. Let's be honest, I think he's even said this himself, maybe one or two more, and that's me done. I'm out the back door. What is he? Is he 40 now? Has he just turned 40?
Yeah, just
in and around that age, isn't he? So he's probably got 2 fights left. Now, most of us who love the sport, he's mopped the division up. Do you want to see him in again with Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk? I'll be honest with you, I probably don't. I think that chapter's shut. The chapter with AJ is shut. The chapter with Dubois is shut. I'd have loved to have seen him fight Joseph Parker. Obviously, that's not going to materialise. Parker's going down the Woodley route. If Parker's successful, I think the winner of that then should be fighting someone like an Alexander Usyk. But who does Usyk bow out to? Does he bow out to Moses Itauma? I think I sit here, mate, and I think the more and more I think about it, the more I think, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing it. The more I'd like, before Alexander Usyk rides off into the sunset, yeah, maybe in 12 months' time from now, I think I'd like to see that fight.
Well, he is the hotshot Moses. In 12 months from now, he will be the serious lead contender to the throne, and that is Alexander Usyk. I think that as the titles fragment, because they will, Usyk won't be able to keep a hold of them.
But do they matter? Do they really matter?
No, they don't. That's what I'm saying. So the titles go, and then other people become champions, etc., etc. And you're looking at best of eras. The one man that is in that way, who, by the way, if I was Alexander Usyk, I would steer away from, because this kid's young, fresh,
yeah, of course,
and timing in boxing and everything else. Yeah, all right. You know, I think with Moses, the reason they're going to take Michael Hunter or David Adelaide is because he does get rounds from both of those. He should get rounds.
Okay.
And I think the only thing missing from Moses before he goes for anyone in the division is just getting the rounds. That's all they want. You know, just to get him into that, round 7, round 8, just so that he knows himself. And, because we know how good he is. I mean, what is it? His last 9 fights, he's been about 12 rounds. It's insane.
It's great, though, isn't it?
And he's blowing
Super
away
exciting.
decent opponents. You go, where do you get them rounds? Well, if you're looking at David Adelaide, who we know he's durable, we saw that against Sergovich, the guy is teak tough.
Yeah.
You should get rounds there. He will start a big favourite, but you should get rounds. If you get Michael Hunter, who's very tricky, slick mover.
Very underestimated is Michael Hunter.
Very underestimated. There's people sort of stay away from him if they need to. If you get something like that, then he does get rounds. And I think that's all that's missing. So if he gets those rounds under his belt, I think that I put him in with anyone, Moses. I think that he's going to be the dominant figure of the sport for the next 10 years at least.
I also like the idea. I know we're going crazy on Moses, and rightfully so. Everybody should be excited about the Moses Itauma thing. But I also like the idea of, because I'm a massive Usyk fan, and I love the fact that Usyk will sit there and he'll go, right, okay, who's next? Right, Joseph Parker's next. He's earned the right. Let's see if he comes through. Or even Fabio Woodley. Fabio Woodley comes through that fight. Whoever wins that fight, they're next. And then his little piece de resistance, I'm signing off. I'm just going to prove something. I'm still as good now for the next generation. I'm still the king.
Yeah.
So let's take on the next generation. Let me show you how this is done. That would just be ultimate Usyk if he did that.
Do you remember when an aging Lennox Lewis took on a young Vitaly Klitschko?
Yeah.
And he
he
had to go through hell and back, and he eventually won in the 6th round. Got 6th round KO.
Cuts all over
the place, and Klitschko was stopped on cuts. But then that was the last fight for Lennox.
Yeah, and Lennox went, nah.
Yeah, I'm done now. I've beat it. And then Klitschko took over for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think we could see a similar thing. We could see Alexander Usyk versus Moses Itauma. Moses Itauma proves a more difficult task for Usyk at this stage. If Itauma gets another 2 fights before that fight happens, well, it's going to be interesting. But if those titles fragment, I think the last one to go is the WBC. Now, that gets us onto the talking point of Agit Kabayel, the guy that's the most avoided guy, who's coming off those wins against Makhmudov and Sanchez,
right.
Sanchez as well, who no one wanted to fight either, who was undefeated at the time. And you go, this guy's a serious problem. But does that sell? When you're looking at it, Alexander Usyk versus Agit Kabayel, it sells to you and it sells to me because we're hardcore boxing fans.
Yeah.
But does it sell to the granny next door?
No, it doesn't.
Does it sell to Uncle Bob?
No. It doesn't, mate. It doesn't.
No.
And that's a shame because, listen, we're champions of meritocracy. He's earned his right. He's absolutely had the opportunity
I agree.
At the shots at it. But if we're saying here now, Alexander Usyk, after the Wardley Parker thing is sorted, and he's fought one of them, and he's still the guy, let's say he's still the guy, if he comes out and he says, I've got one left, pick him. You pick him, I'm picking Moses Itauma.
Well, the reason I'd pick Moses Itauma is because, like I say, he will be...
It's a different puzzle.
He will be the next heavyweight king, for sure. But the reason I would love Usyk to fight him is because I go, mate, now you have just showed, not that you're just going to go out and sail off into the sunset and just go out on a win. You've cleaned up the division, beat everybody twice, but you have now took the hot shot on. That is like the ultimate, because there's 2 ways of looking at that. You go with Usyk, you look at Moses and go, I don't need that at this stage of my career.
Course.
My legacy is firmly cemented in the history books. I'll go down as one of the greatest to ever do it, and I'm putting all that on the line if I go in against this young gun.
Yeah.
Right? So if he does that and he beats Moses, he's got to go down as the greatest heavyweight of all time. He has to be up there. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
He's up there he's in the argument with Muhammad Ali, and
Of course.
you've got to put him in that argument.
Of course.
He's sort of there or thereabouts now. But if he does that and takes the young gun out, will he do that?
I don't know.
I believe he only gets in the ring one more time. By the way,
Winner of Parker Wardley.
possibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's lots to come on today's show. We're going to talk about the new Zuffer deal as well that has been obviously cemented this week. Dana White's been speaking about how he's going to operate in the world of boxing. We're going to get stuck into a little bit of that. What's next for Ben Whitaker? Everybody seems to be talking about Ben Whitaker at the moment. Well, we'll analyse that next. Don't go anywhere.
What football ground are you thinking of when someone says this?
Really tough place to go. Difficult place to go. Such a tough place to go.
It's a tough place to go at the moment.
It was a really difficult place to go.
But what are the toughest places to go, really? We've had a look. Forget a cold, wet Tuesday night in Stoke. Try a blizzard 220 miles inside the Arctic Circle. When Chelsea lost at Tromsø in Norway in the Cup Winners' Cup, a massive snowstorm hit at half-time. These two boys and their brooms were absolutely no match for it. We're staying in Scandinavia for Scotland's toughest away day on the side of a cliff in the Faroe Islands in Euro 2000 qualifying. The pitch at Toftir was like a cow field, never mind those gale force winds. The Faroe Islands part-timers equalised in stoppage time. Cue Scandi scenes. But away trips don't come tougher than playing Bolivia at altitude in La Paz.
It's fight night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Spencer Oliver alongside me. We're streaming on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel, so you can watch along with the show. Get stuck into the comments section. If you want to ring us, you can. 03717 223344. What's next for Ben Whitaker, mate?
Interesting. I know he signed a new deal with Ben Shalom, who's done a deal with the BBC.
Yeah.
So boxing, we get back on terrestrial TV, which is, good.
He's done a new deal with Ben Shalom.
Yeah, I believe
he's staying with Boxer.
I believe he stayed with Boxer. I think that's the move forward. That's the rumor that they've done a deal, and yeah, he gets primetime TV.
Do you think that's the right move for him, given the stage of where he's at right now?
Well,
because there's plenty of options.
There's loads of options.
He's a hot talent.
You got to remember Ben Shalom. He's sort of like, after he lost his Sky deal, you're looking at it going, where's he going? What's he doing? He's come back with this new deal with the BBC, which is great for boxing fans. BBC 2, BBC 1, Match of the Day before that. So the audience is going to be very big. BBC iPlayer as well. He's just signed a new deal with Riyadh Season, Ben Shalom. So look, he's still very much in the mix. But you look at it and you look at the light heavyweights that Frank Warren's got and, Eddie Hearn, and you look at the guys there and go, like, they can fast track him, if you like. But does he need fast tracking? Or does he need that experience? Look, I don't know. Until we see, what Ben's going to come up with, it's going to be an interesting one for sure. But Ben Whitaker has that character and charisma. He could be a big star.
I think he could be the jewel in the crown of any promotional outfit that he works for.
Where would you put him?
What in what mix?
As in with what promoter would most suit him? So I think he's suited to someone like Eddie Hearn. I think that sort of.
Oh, listen, Eddie Hearn will make him a superstar. But the key thing in this is, what is he trying to achieve over the next 12 to 24 months, Ben Whitaker, right? So you've just mentioned there that Boxer have sealed the BBC deal, which I think is massively important for boxing in this country. Let's just remind ourselves that right now there's no boxing on Sky Sports, where that would be the traditional sports home to go and watch your boxing. There's nothing on TNT Sports. Everything is on DAZN, which is a niche channel, with all due respect. If you are on DAZN, you're there purely for boxing. You're not like a Sky Sports customer, for example. You go in there for football and then, boxing's on, and the darts on and all that type of thing, falling into the sport from a casual angle. That doesn't happen with DAZN. You're only going there if you're a hardcore fan. And anything of any decency goes behind a second paywall. So it's a very difficult product at the moment in the UK for people to be able to consume boxing. So from Ben Whitaker's point of view, he's got to think to himself, what do I want to achieve over the next 12 to 24 months? Now, the BBC thing, I think, is really attractive for someone like Ben Whitaker.
I agree.
Because he has the capability of crossing over into the mainstream and transcending the sport. He's a super talent when it comes to boxing. I don't think he's all there just yet. There's still a little bit of work to do, but I think he can get there. From a boxing point of view, with Boxer and the BBC over the next 12 to 24 months, I don't know if that's the right partnership, right? I don't know, because I don't know whether they can attract the right amount of opponent and what have you for the shows that they've got. Especially, I mean, you look at the light heavyweight show that Frank's doing in a few weeks' time with Buatsi and Parker, Zach Parker. This is. Yep. That's a fantastic light heavyweight show. That's where the talent
November
is.
the 1st.
They're the guys that you want to be in the mix with, don't you? And obviously Eddie's got some light heavyweights there as well that you want to be in the mix with on the world stage. But Ben Shalom's got a good relationship, it looks like, with Turki Al Sheikh. They've just done a Riyadh Season deal. We don't know the ins and outs of that. I think it's coming out this week with a press release. But I'm sure that there is opportunities for Ben maybe to jump out onto a Riyadh Season card and jump out to a Ring Magazine card. So there's an opportunity there for him. The big attraction for me regarding Ben Whitaker, because of his personality and the way that I think he can cross over, is they can make shoulder programming on the BBC iPlayer or BBC 2 or BBC 3 or whatever it is, these channels that they've got available to them with massive platforms for casual eyes. They can make at home with Ben Whitaker. They can make a reality show on Ben Whitaker. They can cross over Ben Whitaker onto MasterChef. They can cross him over onto Dancing with, Strictly Come Dancing on a Saturday night. All these things become available to Ben Whitaker to become a household name. And then in 2 years' time, once he's maybe done all of that, then maybe there's another conversation as to how then we take him to the next level in the world of boxing. Do we then You know, does he have to come out of that? Does he have to go and work with Eddie Hearn in order to get the bigger opportunities? I don't know the answer when it comes to the boxing side of it. But right now, if I was his manager, I'd be sat there going, mate, this is a massive opportunity. A massive opportunity to go and become a proper household star.
Ben Whitaker has the charisma, has the personality to do all that you said there, you know, whether that's dancing on ice, Strictly Come Dancing, the jungle, wherever
he could rock up on the EastEnders Christmas special or something mad like that, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, he can do all that. He can fight inside the ring. It's all about the development and the progress. And we saw, you know, the fight, the controversial fight that he had with Liam Cameron.
Yep.
The way that he reversed that, the way that he went in there and he done a number, you go, wow, yeah, actually, this kid is the real deal. You know, and if
he's an Olympic silver medalist. The kid can fight.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is amateur boxing, professional boxing. The professional boxing we didn't know after the Cameron draw, where it looked like it was going the wrong way, and he went out the ring, done his ankle, you know, said he couldn't continue. They left that, you know, big question mark over it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Put them doubts to bed last time out. So you look at it and you go, with Ben Shalom doing this new deal with Riyadh season, Turkey Al-Sheikh, that does open opportunity to fight on these other cards, whether that's a Matchroom card, whether that's a Frank Warren card, because Riyadh season will be involved. And if Turkey wants him in against one, you know, like a Zach Parker type fighter, the fight happens. And when that will land, wherever it lands, whether that's in Saudi or whatever. So that has left that door open, which is good. But I think going with the BBC is a huge move for the publicity side of things.
Yeah.
You know, because people will hear about this kid. Yeah, he's massive on social media anyway, but you get to, you know, your regular, your casual, you know, and I think that is a huge move because, you know, he could be a huge star in the future of the sport.
How far do you think he is away from starting to really talk about challenging at the top table of this division? It's such a hard division for any of the British light heavies. I mean, we've got some fantastic talent, haven't we? But when you look at the men two, I've always said this, that the men two in Beterbiev and Bivol are ahead of supreme talent underneath them. These two are just freaks of nature. They're miles ahead of them. How far is he away? Because you would think that Beterbiev's coming to the end at some point. Maybe one more with Bivol and that's it.
He's nearly 40, so, like, you know, he's got another 12 months in the game. I think that, you know, him and Bivol again or whatever. And I think
but Bivol off the back of that would probably then be searching for the super fights, wouldn't he?
Absolutely.
Maybe across divisions.
Yeah.
So that then maybe opens things up with belts getting fragmented. How far away do you think he is? Do you think he is 2 years away from
24 months? I was just about to say that. 2 years away. And that's where it is. Because it's not about, you know, seeing an opportunity and you go, bam, he can beat this kid. We'll take it.
Yeah.
But these conversations with Frank Warren about Moses Itauma, actually, it's not about whether he can beat Anthony Joshua now or whether he can, because they've got full confidence in he can.
Yeah.
It's about how long he stays there when he does it and whether he's ready to stay there when he does it. You know, not saying that he's not good enough, but what if he gets someone that takes him into a dogfight and he's not been in round 9 and all of a sudden you find out a bit about his character that none of us knew, only he knows, or he didn't even know until he gets there. You know, they're the ones when you get in those penultimate rounds, 10, 11, 12, we don't know what people are like because it becomes a mental battle as opposed to a physical battle. You know, so we don't know that about Moses, so you have to develop him like that. You know, and I think it can be the same with Ben Whitaker as well, you know, but, you know, I think that fight that he had with Liam Cameron, the first fight, he had to go soul-searching himself and asking himself a lot of questions. He come back better, stronger, and you go, well, actually, this kid could be. In another 24 months, I think he'll be the real deal. I really do. I think he has the capabilities of winning a world title for sure.
Do you think he's got the capabilities of being the biggest star in British boxing?
Yeah, because of his personality. He's a huge personality. And I think that, you know, love him or hate him, you'll remember him. You know, I think that...
Well, he makes people feel a certain way, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
And that's important.
For me, really, I think the next superstar of British boxing, which effectively is the star of the sport, of any sport, is Moses Itauma. He's the real deal. And I think that, you know, he's quite quiet and quite reserved. But he's a young kid, 20 years of age, and I think he's going to come out of himself a lot more. His personality, actually, when you get to know him a little bit, he's got a great personality. And once we start seeing that personality, hearing that personality more, and being the king of the heavyweight division, I think that kid's going to be the next superstar. But Ben Whitaker is that guy as well. You know, he's that Nazim Hamid type guy where you love or hate him, you'll remember him, and he can fight.
The big talking point this week has been about Dana White and Zuffer boxing coming into the world of boxing. And saying that they're not going to be recognising sanctioning body belts and not working with other promoters, and it's kind of made everybody's head fall off. We're going to delve into this. We're going to do it over the next half an hour, and I've no doubt you've got loads of thought processes on it, whether you're for it, whether you're against it. We'll do the pros, we'll do the cons, And we'll give you some type of landscape of how we think this might play out over the next maybe 1 to 3 years. Stick with us. This is Fight Night on talkSPORT. So wherever you are consuming the show, thank you very much for giving up a bit of time on a Saturday night to come and join us. Hopefully you're into fight sports as much as we are. We will delve into the world of MMA a little bit later on. I know that there's some action tonight going on in Vegas, a couple of world title fights, so we'll sprinkle a little bit of that into the programme. And that kind of leads us on nicely to the crossover of the MMA guy stepping into the world of boxing. Obviously, everybody knows now that Dana White, Zuffer boxing, is going to be a thing in 2026. He's done a couple of interviews this week over in the United States of America, answering questions on what his model of boxing is going to look like. And I've noticed that there's been quite a few people, obviously, been asked questions from the British side to give their opinions on what Dana has been saying of what he's going to attempt to do. Over the next 20 minutes, 25 minutes, me and Spencer are going to try and give you some type of clarity, some type of roadmap as to how this might play out over the next 3 years with Zuffer boxing involved. But the headline that everybody seems to be grabbing hold of, mate, this week, I've seen it on many YouTube channels. Everybody seems to be asked about it. I've seen a few people over in America talking about it as well. And the headline is this: Dana White introducing his own belt to boxing, the Zuffer belt. When you see that headline, what's your initial reaction?
Well, my initial action is that we've got the four governing bodies, and it's always been the Wild West, and people have come in, they've sort of tried to change it. It hasn't worked. But Dana White is a serious player, and he's got a serious backer behind him in Turkey Al-Sheikh. And I know Turkey's got his own, reasons for wanting to change the sport that he believes is broken. And Dana White, has those same ideas, and he's coming from that MMA background, and he built that model itself. And they will try and change the sport of boxing. We have got, it's difficult though because we've got this. There's a federal law, the Muhammad Ali Act, and, they've got to try and change all that, which is not a difficult thing to do. That is like a very serious thing to do. Can they change that? The Muhammad Ali Act was put in place to protect the boxers, to protect, the federations.
Yeah, for people that don't know, that's a US federal law, right? So it only affects American law, the Muhammad Ali Act, and it's there to, as you just said, rightfully so, to give more power to fighters. So therefore, back in the day, everybody knows the Don King stories and what have you. Basically, it was brought in order to allow, or to basically say that the fighters get the lion's share of an event. The money made on an event is divvied out. The majority is divvied out to the fighters that are on the card. And there's also restrictions when it comes to promoters being managers. They're not allowed to obviously rank their fighters, and they're not obviously allowed to award their own championships. That's basically what the Muhammad Ali law is doing. And that obviously is not what the UFC model is. Hence the conversation in and around that Muhammad Ali Act, and whether that needs to be amended, whether it needs to have additions in order for Dana to do what Dana has done traditionally. And not just Dana as well, because obviously let's remember that Dana White, now the UFC, is part of TKO, and TKO is the owner of the WWE, and we all know how the WWE work with Vince McMahon and stuff like that. So very similar business models, WWE and UFC, of how they've gone about amassing gigantic businesses in the United States of America, and now worldwide, of course. And then people will look to those and think to themselves, well, that's probably the route that they're going to try and take in the world of boxing.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And they're constantly talking about boxing being broken. It needs to be fixed.
Is it? What's your opinion? You're a fighter, mate. Well, listen, you give me your opinion.
I personally think, yes, boxing was very much broken when we had the politics of the sport. Before Turkey Al-Sheikh and Riyadh season come in and ripped all that up and made the best fight the best and got Eddie and Frank to be best mates, and they were worst of enemies, and they were working together. We're getting them stables and we're getting the 5v5s. The boxing fans were getting what they've craved to get, for so long. And we're finally seeing modern eras of the best boxing, the best, and there'll be that, that old conversation about, if Lennox Lewis boxed Riddick Bowe, who would have won that fight? And, the politics where the WBC belt, Riddick Bowe dumped it in the bin so that the fight didn't happen, and now that will always leave that as a talking point. That's getting ripped up now, and I think that, with what they're trying to change, and if they do achieve it and getting it all under, they can change this Muhammad Ali Act and get it all under one belt, and these leagues that they're talking about interference. It's a huge job, by the way. But I think in one hand, yes, boxing was broken because of that, with the politics of the sport. But now with it all being on DAZN, and everyone seems to be working together, and that's all because of Turkey Al-Sheikh, working with all the promoters. Then for me, boxing seems to have been fixed. But now they want change because Dana White is coming. He got his model, what he done, and a very successful model in the UFC. He wants to implement that similar sort of model into boxing. But it's a huge change, man. It's going to be a very difficult thing to do. But they have the resources to be able to do it. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. And it's going to be an interesting time because boxing, we look at American boxing now. We were talking off air here. For the best part of 50 years, American boxing was dominated, not just by the world heavyweight champion, but, the 10 fighters underneath that. The top 10 were all American. You might have one Brit slipping in from time to time, then Lennox Lewis changed all that, become the first British, to win a heavyweight title in 100 years, I think it was, something like that. And then you look at it now. There's no heavyweights from America. Yeah, no. We've had Deontay Wilder. He's now seemingly coming to the end. But you look at it and you go, you got Gerard Anderson, and he got found out by Martin Bakole, and you go, where's the names now? The Eastern Europeans are coming in. It's dominated by the Brits as well, with Fabio Wardley and Lawrence Okoli and all that. But you go, the Americans are gone. They've lost love for the sport. Yep. So boxing is very much broken in America. For sure, because they're all deciding to do whether it's football or baseball or wherever they're going, but they're not boxing. And I think that Dana White could be that guy to get them back involved in that. And if he gets them back involved in it, then we get, it's a whole different conversation. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO, where they all go. The Ring magazine, Turkey's got anyway, the Ring belt. So it's an interesting time for the sport. I don't believe the sport is broken because we're getting the fights now that we craved. But it's going to be interesting to see if it can be changed.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it? Do you think the sport is broken? Do you think it's going to be changed?
I think it can be absolutely improved, yeah. I think you're right to flag up everything that's happened over the last 2 years, because we're definitely in a much better place than we were 2 to 3 years ago. Obviously, the money in the room has managed to align everybody's thoughts, and everybody's working together in hopefully providing for the fans. And the fans are, for me, at the end of the day, the lifeblood of the sport. If they're catered for, then obviously that then filters down with fighters getting better purses and promoters doing well and more shows and everybody's enjoying themselves. There's 2 things that I look at. First and foremost, the majority of what you were talking about there before you mentioned America, we were talking from a British point of view, right? We're getting Frank, we're getting Eddie working together, we're getting great shows, and we're all enjoying that. Now, what effect has Saudi Arabian interest had on British boxing? Now, at the top end, most people would look at it and they'll go, British boxing's booming. And I agree with them. I think when Frank Warren says it's booming right now, it's never been more exciting. I agree with him. Same when Eddie says that. And it's exciting for the top end of fighters that are going to be featuring on the Ring magazine cards, on the Riyadh season cards, on the big cards that Queensberry are doing, on the big cards that Matchroom are doing. But what's happening is, because we're trying to satisfy the thirst of these cards that Turki Al Sheikh wants from Riyadh season, we're having to take main events from different parts of the ecosystem. So we might be taking a main event from the York Hall, and that ends up on a Riyadh season card as the 5th one on the list, if that makes sense. So therefore, we've got a gap at the York Hall because we need a main event there. Well, is it strong enough to come from further down the food chain? The answer is probably not. And therefore, we're finding in the smaller halls, in the UK this is, that we're getting lesser and less shows, and therefore less work's going around for the bottom end of the ecosystem. Now, this is going to hopefully come back to my point that I'm going to make after the break in a minute about how I think the Dana White thing and Zuffer boxing is going to work over in the States. That's how I think we're looking in the UK. I think top end, above the top end of the iceberg, we're looking great. Underneath, I think there is a struggle and it needs some serious attention. Over in the States, I agree with everything that you've just said there. Boxing's on its backside. I have been in America on countless occasions over the last decade, and I've slowly watched the audience become disengaged. And I started noticing it when Tyson Fury went over to fight Deontay Wilder for the first time, right? Deontay Wilder was the heavyweight champion of the world, at the time undefeated, knocking every man and his dog out. I thought to myself, we're going to go over to the States here. This is going to be carnage. He's going to be a lord over there. It's going to be, everybody's going to be, not a hoot, mate. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody was talking about him. He wasn't on the TV screens. It was nothing. It was the Tyson Fury show, mate. Everybody in LA for the first one, Vegas for the second one and the third one, it was all Tyson. I'm thinking, this is mad. Why is there no love for the heavyweight champion of the world? And then you start to analyse other bits and bats about it. Now look at where things are in America. Top Rank, you would probably class them as the biggest boxing promoter. They don't even have a TV deal. You've got PBC, who've got a lot of quality fighters. They are on this weird Amazon pay-per-view thing that nobody gets to watch. Obviously, you've got Golden Boy that are on DAZN, so that's, again, behind a subscription and then a second paywall, so that's tough. Zuffer Boxing haven't even done a show yet, and they've got the biggest TV deal in America on Paramount. Now that, again, I'll come to it in a minute and give you a little bit of how I think this is all going to play out. The key elements, just to point before we go to break, are these, right? Dana White, Zuffer Boxing are going to do 12 events in 2026, and they're all going to be broadcast on Paramount TV over in the States. The concentration, as Spencer rightfully pointed out, the concentration is going to be America. It's not going to affect anything here right now in the UK. It's not going to affect anything in Saudi Arabia. Turki Al Sheikh's going to carry on doing what he's doing. Frank, Eddie, they're going to carry on doing what they're doing. The sanctioning bodies are all going to carry on what they're doing. It's going to be normal. But over in America, there is going to be a landscape change. It's going to be looking very similar to the Contender Series that he does with the UFC. There's going to be less weight classes. There will be one champion per division, and he will not recognise the sanctioning body belts, the BC, the BA, the IBF, and the WBO. And he won't collab with other promoters. Now, that to me sounds like he's building a new ecosystem. He's not entering the one that we've currently got now. He is building a brand new one. Stick with us. I'll tell you next how I think this is going to play out over the next 3 years.
Lewis Hamilton, now at Ferrari, dares to dream of a record 8th F1 world title. The Tifosi will be hoping the Brits can bring glory back to Italy. To many, Ferrari and Formula One are inseparable. They're the only team in the sport today to have competed in the first World Championship in 1950, are the most successful team in history, and have built some absolutely gorgeous cars. Their first driver's title was won in 1952 by Alberto Ascari. Considered one of F1's most dominant and best-loved champions, he drove the iconic Ferrari 500 and defended his title the year after. It was Juan Manuel Fangio in his Ferrari 250 who secured the team's next driver's title in 1956. Remember, he was world champion 5 times with 4 different teams. Mike Hawthorne, Phil Hill and John Surtees also won titles for Ferrari in the 50s and 60s, and the cars back then were beautiful, and they even sounded great, didn't they? Anyway, Ferrari went 11 years without winning a title until Niki Lauda won in 1975 in the iconic 312T. Throughout much of the 80s and 90s, though, Ferrari looked like they'd never go all the way again. Le Professeur Alain Prost came pretty close in 1990, but lost out to his bitter rival and former teammate at McLaren, Ayrton Senna. It was only when John Todt recruited a swathe of staff from outside of Italy, including Michael Schumacher, that the glory days returned 21 years after their last driver's title. The turn of the century saw the prancing horse sprint to an unprecedented 5 consecutive championship doubles. And after Schumacher left, Kimi Raikkonen reclaimed the driver's title immediately. But despite employing 1,500 people, the Iceman remains the last Ferrari world champion. So, 16 constructors' titles, 7 more than McLaren, and 15 drivers' titles, 4 more than, again, McLaren. Ferrari are truly Formula One's top team. Forza Ferrari.
Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall, Spencer Oliver alongside me. We're talking right now about the Dana White Zuffer boxing deal over in America. Announced, obviously, this week that it's going to be part of the Paramount TV channel. Just before I get stuck into how I think this is going to play out over in the States, we've just been having a little bit of a chat in the break there about the scene here in the UK. Boxing being booming at the top end. Smaller amount of shows down the bottom end of the food chain, but you've had personal experience, obviously, at being at quite a few of these, what we would class as smaller hall shows. You're calling various things like that. You believe that the actual quality is improving on the small hall, even though there might be lesser shows in the UK right now. You believe that the actual quality is getting better.
Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. So here's where I see it. So now we've got Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn working together, which is great because we've got the 2 stables. They've both got great fighters, and we're getting the best fighting the best. And, we're getting what we crave to see, where, it wasn't about purse splits and TV revenues,
nope.
Percentages, etc., etc. Now we're getting the best versus the best, but that means that there is less shows. But that means it's good for the smaller hall shows because the fighters that are with Eddie Hearn and the fighters that are with Frank Warren, if they want to keep active, they go and then box on these York Hall shows. Like we saw one, like I had Lerone Richards was boxing last Saturday night. And you look at Lerone, he was British Commonwealth, European, IBO world champion, trying to get himself back in the mix, coming off a loss to Steve Woodall, but he wanted to get active, get in there. So he's boxing on these shows. So for the small hall shows now, you're getting a trickle of these fighters that want to stay active and boxing on the small hall shows, which means they're taking a much less purse.
Yeah.
But that also means they want to perform to the highest level to get back on these big shows.
Okay.
You have to do that. But the small hall shows obviously want to put them in 50-50 fights for the paying public because that's what they do and that's how they sell their tickets. So they can't put on fights where you go, right, all the red corner's going to win or all the blue corner. Yeah, it has to be a real fight. Yeah. So it is better for the small hall shows because they're getting some of the bigger names on them wanting to stay active. And obviously we're getting the big 2 promoters putting on the best fights as well. So I think boxing is very much fixed in the UK because I think it works quite well. So we're getting a little bit of, both. Boxing is broken in America because we look at, you look at the divisions now, the fighters are just not there anymore, and it seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. Dana White is going to be brilliant for the sport because I think he's going to try and rip up the script, change the model, and do what he does. Some things are going to be good, some things maybe not so good, but it's going to be very interesting, whatever way you look at it. And I think that then he will attract the fighters to come back in, instead of playing football and basketball and everything else. But that's where boxing really needs to be fixed. I think over here we're in a pretty good spot.
Listen, I agree. And anybody that's been to America, whether you're following fight sports or you've been over on holiday and what have you, and spoken to people about boxing or fight sports in general, the audiences are massively disengaged. I was out for the Canelo-Crawford fight a couple of weeks ago, and we were kind of in a little bit of a bubble because it was Mexican holiday weekend and Canelo's a bit of an enigma. But just analysing the landscape and looking at the TV channels and various things like that, as I've said, very similar to the UK, boxing, until this Zuffer deal with Paramount, isn't on mainstream TV over in the States. Obviously, ESPN pulled out. HBO are no longer involved in the game. So it's not in people's living rooms. They're not seeing it. So how do you re-engage the audience? And this is the key thing that Dana White and Zuffer Boxing have obviously got to try and sort out over the next, 12 to 36 months, let's just say. You try and create something that they're not used to seeing. And that's the noise that I'm hearing from everything that he's done this week when he's been doing his interviews. That's kind of the noise that I'm seeing. When he's talking about not recognising sanctioning bodies, the BC, the BA and IBF and WBO, when he's talking about not working with other promoters, they are things that nobody else does in the sport. Everybody recognises the sanctioning bodies. Everybody has to, at some point, collaborate with another promoter, don't they, in some way, shape or form? So he's trying to create a completely different ecosystem. So try and bear with what I'm about to say of how I'm going to try and paint a picture of how I think this is going to work over the next 3 years based on my knowledge of the UFC, how that business model has worked over the last 30 years, and how TKO, WWE have all worked as well, because I think it's going to emulate quite a lot of that type of stuff. The first question that everybody's going to have is, well, who's going to sign for him? What fighters are going to sign for Zuffer Boxing? Well, at the start, I think it's going to be difficult. I think forget about world champions, forget about Canelos and Crawfords and people like that. They're not signing for this. Think about those that are not getting those opportunities, the people that we've just been speaking about, those guys that are on that smaller haul, maybe people that are just turning over, young prospects coming through. And again, try and concentrate your mind on what's going on in America. It's very different over there than where it is here
Absolutely.
in the UK. People in America, they're not getting the opportunities in order to be able to do their thing. You know, as you've just rightfully said, the heavyweight division. Where are the American heavyweights? They're not in the sport anymore. They've gone to play basketball. They've gone to play NFL. They've gone to play... They're doing the UFC, MMA. They're not in boxing. The athletes are still there. The athletic specimens are still there. They're just not going to the gym because they're thinking to themselves, well, nobody's watching this. There's no dough in this. I'm not going to go and do it. So you need to re-engage that person. So you create a different type of ecosystem for them to be able to do it. Now, from an audience point of view, what you want, 50-50 fights, top, as you've just been talking about the small hall. Think small hall over in America. This is what we're going to, hopefully he's going to do. 50-50 fights for top prospects. Again, nobody really does that here in the UK. We're told that you have to build prospects against, 7, 8, 9, 10 taxi drivers. He can't afford to do that. He has to put them in against each other. That's trying something different. One champion per division. Again, that's not the norm in the present landscape in the world of boxing. Meritocracy, perform well. You've got a straightforward route to the Turki Al Sheikh show, because Turki Al Sheikh is obviously connected to Dana White, Zuffer Boxing, Seller, all this type of thing that they've just partnered up recently. This is how I think this is going to look, right? Now, firstly, I think his fight nights, this is Dana White's Zuffer fight nights, I think they're going to take place on a midweek night. I don't think they're going to take place on Friday nights and Saturday nights. I think this is going to take place, let's say Wednesday, for example, of the week.
Clever, by the way.
That's what I think he's going to do. And I think he's going to tie it all in with all the other offerings that his business currently offers on these TV networks. So, for example, this week is a massive UFC fight week, right? So tonight is UFC 320. That's currently going out on ESPN. But next year, it won't be going out on ESPN. It'll be going out on Paramount, because the new TV deal that they've done means that they don't have to adhere to pay-per-view. So all UFC shows now do not go behind a second paywall. They just go on what you would class as Sky Sports in America, Paramount, CBS, right? So that's what the UFC's on. Now, the way that they do their fight week, because Dana's into everything, On Tuesday nights of that fight week, he does Dana White's Contender Series, where all the top prospects from the world of MMA compete in 50-50 fights on Tuesday night television. And he awards, if you win a fight, if you're a good performer, he'll award you a UFC contract, right? So it's kind of like a reality TV show on a Tuesday night. I think they'll do the exact same thing with boxing the night after. Wednesday night, don't forget, come back tomorrow night, we're doing this with boxing. Then on Thursday night, this has happened this week, he does the exact same thing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's gone massive over in the States. So they have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu show where all the best contenders from the world of BJJ compete on American TV. Then on Friday night, I know it gets a lot of stick, but Power Slap is going through the roof over in the States. They're absolutely lapping it up. So think about the dynamic of that week now, right? You've got a Paramount subscription. Tuesday night, you've tuned in, you're watching MMA. All that night, they're telling you about boxing tomorrow night. So then boxers are getting that credit. They might even feature on the Tuesday night show. Then Wednesday night, obviously you've got your boxing. Thursday night, you've got your BJJ. Then you've got your Power Slap. Then you've got your big show on Saturday night where it's the UFC. There'll be cross-promotion like mad right across that network throughout the whole course of that week for these boxing prospects. That is going to grow. They're only going to do one a month. They're only going to do 12 next year, and it's going to slowly grow. Now, what I experienced last week with Canelo Crawford, or 2 weeks ago, the Wednesday night, they did an event at one of the hotels there. Young lad from Liverpool called Mikey Talon fought. He was the first fight of the night on the Wednesday night. He was brilliant.
The Omen.
The Omen, yes. He was absolutely brilliant. He sank his opponent in the first round, sank him in the last round. It ended up going to a decision, but he won, and he was fantastic, right? Straight away, Turkey Al-Sheikh got in the ring, and he said, like what you did, young man, I'm going to put you on the Ben Eubank undercard. Straight away, like that. That's how this is going to work.
Right.
So these guys on the Wednesday night, they're going to be out there doing their thing. And I know that people are saying, well, they're winning a belt. Yeah, they're winning a belt that doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things, right? What it is a ticket to the big show. The big show being Turkey Al-Sheikh's big show Ring Magazine cards, right? So that's the pathway that they're going to have. The interesting thing is going to happen, or the interesting thing for me is going to be then, how then does this then translate back into the real world with Turkey Al-Sheikh, right? We've all seen the noise and the conversation from Eddie Hearn, Turkey Al-Sheikh, making an offer for Matchroom, wanting to maybe buy them out and own Matchroom. Is that a real thing? Is that what that's going to be in 3 years' time? Is Turkey Al-Sheikh going to own the whole of Matchroom? Is that going to be incorporated into this umbrella over here? Is he going to take all over of that? Is he going to buy out Frank? Is he going to buy out Queensberry? Because if you look at the business model of the UFC and the WWE, how did they get so big? The UFC struggled for years to get legislation across the United States of America. And as they got bigger, what they started to do is buy their competition. They bought out Strikeforce. They took their roster. Their roster came to work on the UFC. They started buying out other franchises that had big stars, bringing them over, sticking them on their roster. This is starting to, very similar to WWE. If you look at Vince McMahon's route in, he bought out all the little franchises, didn't he, to get the stars onto the WWE. If you look at the noises that are currently happening now in the landscape of boxing, that is where this is going. 3 years' time, 4 years' time, 5 years' time, I think that we might be looking at a very similar landscape that we've got currently now in MMA. We'll have that in boxing, where you've got one clear leading forerunner as the premier organisation in the sport. Everything else will still exist, I think, to some extent, but I think it'll be diluted and a little bit further down the food chain.
Now, I love that. And that all sounds absolutely fantastic. And that's how we're going to get boxing back in the USA. But let's go further down the food chain. Let's go right to the bottom, the grassroots, amateur boxing.
Yep.
You go back to you go back to 88 and you look at the champions that America produced, dominated 9 champions. And you see we got it again in 92, 96 in Atlanta, same thing. And then after 96, you see him like we hit the 2000 out in Australia and Sydney. And you see them, and they're getting less and less. You know, we're not getting the same pedigree of fighters coming through the US who have dominated for years and years and years, going right back to the 60s. And you go, what's going on? Why are they losing interest at amateur boxing? Because that's the grassroots. If we don't get the amateur boxers, we don't get the professional boxers. We look at the last Olympics. I don't even think they medalled, the Americans.
No,
I don't think they got one. They might have got 1 bronze. I can't. That's what I mean. I can't even remember off the top of my head, but I don't think they medalled. First time in history. So how do they get it back in? Because that's where it all comes from. So yeah, like that model that you're talking about there, that is the way to fix it, yes. but you have to have the fighters coming through to fix it.
Agree.
Because when you're starting down at the bottom here, and you're going, right, we're starting at the bottom where we get the best fighting the best. Where are the best fighting the best coming from? That's my point. You know, so we need to get, because the talent has always been there in amateur boxing because the gyms are filled up because boxing was a big sport. Now boxing's not a big sport. They're not filled up as much because, like you say, they're doing NFL, they're doing baseball, whatever it is. That's where the problem lies. So we have to go right back to the grassroots, and they've got to somehow bring that interest back, because they will get the interest back for the viewers on Paramount watching these things. But that's going to take years to come before the kids that are watching it going, I want to be a boxer. I mean, this is a long, long process. So I think that we need to, or they need to, try and focus on how do we get them back into the amateur gyms, because that's where it all starts.
Completely agree. It's a big challenge. And the whole point of that conversation for the last half an hour or so was to basically say, don't worry about anything right now. As Spencer's pointed out, we're having the time of our life. We're getting all the fights that we want to see. We're getting the top guys against the top guys. I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. Maybe in 3 years, 5 years' time, the landscape might look a little bit different. For right now, buckle up, buttercup, just enjoy it. We are we're going to continue with the show. Keep your calls coming in. Keep your messages coming in. We're going to be speaking to Tommy Welsh in a moment. He's going to come and join us in the show, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, I can see him. Let's get him on the show. He's coming. Alongside me We're just sorting out our studio guest, you see, because he was being ultra professional. He noticed that he just had a little bit of chewing gum in the mouth, and he thought to himself, "No, I want to be articulate. I want to absolutely nail the conversation with the lads." So let's get that in the bin. So you might just pick that up on the old microphone there. Welcome to the show. And this, as he's just highlighted, I didn't know that this is the first time that he'd been in the building. I knew that it was the first time that he'd been on our show on a Saturday evening. I thought that he might have nipped in on a couple of occasions with various shows that you do, Spence, seeing that you work here every single day of the week, mate. But Tommy Welsh, welcome to the show, my man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks. Excited to be here. Lovely setup, and yeah, it looks cool.
Well, it's great to have you here, mate. And do you know something? It's great to be now in a situation where we can talk about what is on the horizon for you, because I feel like we've been speaking about you in this division for a good 2-3 years, right? About being one of those rising prospects, coming through, doing extremely well, amassing an unbelievable undefeated record. Obviously, there's family heritage here, which then helps the conversation from our point of view. But then it always felt like, well, when you're getting your opportunity? When is that time coming? Now, for people that are unaware, Tommy's going to be featuring on the November 15th card against for the Eubank Ben card, but you're going to be fighting Richard Riakporhe. Everybody knows who Richard Riakporhe is on this particular show, so that's the opportunity that I'm referring to. But how frustrating has that time been for you, where there's other lads maybe getting opportunities ahead of you when you've been putting in the work and actually delivering what is required to get the opportunity?
I mean, it's been a long road, and if anything, I've been learning on these experiences that I've been obviously boxing on, and I've been a professional now nearly 5 years. And when I turned over, it was COVID, so it wasn't the best time to have turned. And you know, I'm grateful I'm here now with this opportunity to fight on such a big show, especially being, you know, they're good friends of mine. So it's been tough, it's been hard, and there's been times where, you know, we all get sick of the game and fall out of love with it. But I've stayed, you know, fighting through all the setbacks. I broke my hand. I've had continuous no's off people trying to, you know, come through and break on the scene. But I'm thankful, you know, my dad's been guiding me through all of this, and with his experience behind him, he's kept me on the straight and narrow of, you know, just believe in what you're doing and stay true to the game. Since I turned professional, I've lived life completely as a professional, and, you know, patience is a virtue, and I've learned that massively. And you know, nearly 5 years in, I'm only just getting to this level now, which is, you know, it's good. I've had 16 fights in 16 random locations against 16, you know, random opposition that have been switched last minute. I've been cancelled on shows and then called up and said, you know, we found you an opponent. And, you know, it's been self-funded as well. I've been investing in, you know, with my family and sponsors as well. You know, KSD, who are behind me, have been, you know, family, friends, but they've been, you know, staying patient with me, you know, believing in my journey and knowing, you know, one day we will make it happen. And we've been knocking on the doors, and, you know, the door will eventually open. You know, it's the fighter's life, really. You can't walk away from it. And as we know as fighters, once you taste that victory and them roars, that's all we want to do, you know, and that's what I'm here for.
I mean, that journey that you just talked about there is a tough one. Yours has been 5 years. You know, you've stayed undefeated in 16 fights, but that journey has been so tough. I know that as a fighter myself, and you waiting for that opportunity, you know, the hardship that you have to go through that people don't understand. We were talking about this actually off air. You know, that people don't understand when you're fighting and you're picking up whatever the purse you're picking up. Once you pay your tax man and your trainer and everyone else, you're left with pittance, and you've got to go through that training camp again, waiting and hoping for another fight. And sometimes you have those moments where you're lying in bed and you think, is it all worth it? You know, I might as well go and get a job labouring or painting and decorating or, you know, just doing a normal everyday job, you know, because most of the fighters, you know, that get into boxing today don't have the qualifications to move into any big job, and boxing is their hope and, you know, is their dream. But them dreams can be so easily shattered, and to stay there, 5 years is a long time, man, to stay there and go, When is that opportunity coming? And I'm boxing on some of these big shows, and I've seen you on boxer shows before, and you're winning, you're knocking everyone up, but you ain't getting that big opportunity. Now, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, dreams come true. Richie Riakporhe, former world champion, you're going in against him, who's now moved up into the heavyweight division. This is a big fight. The question I want to ask you, your motivation now to what it was then, you know, you got to have a lot of motivation and not a lot of drive to go through what you got through. Now you've got that opportunity. Is it any different?
Massively. Yeah. I'm jumping out of bed now. You know, that's all we need is the goals and the vision, really. Sometimes the vision can be a bit blurred. You know, if you're working away, you know, we live in the gym. I mean, you know, with my dad, you know, being an ex-champion and fighter himself, he expects me to be in the gym every day, especially if I'm calling myself a professional. So I'm constantly working away. And, but yeah, it gets tiring. If I know that I'm not boxing or I haven't got a clear run on, you know, where I'm going to stay in the gym has been hard, you know. Ticking over every day has been tough. But I enjoy the fight game, you know. I always see you at every show, you know.
Absolutely.
I'm a fight fan. I love the game, and without the game, I don't know, you know, I know where I'd be. Of course, I have a family now, and I'm very happy, but this is something, you know, I'm 30 years old now. If I don't give this a full crack until, you know, I see my potential, you know, every fighter has a ceiling, right? And I don't think I've hit that ceiling yet. So this is why I've stayed through. And I believe in manifestation, and everything that I've done, I've manifested and spoken out loud. And, you know, I started this particular journey 7 years ago, you know. Before that, I was an amateur for, you know, since I was 14 years old. And then I fell out of love with the amateurs, because in amateurs you can get a lot of dirty, you know, decisions, and
you can get that in a professional.
And you really can as a professional. You know?
We're constantly getting in trouble for saying the wrong thing about certain results that go certain ways.
I can imagine, and you know, I see it a lot. So, you know, coming through 40 amateur fights, you know, I think I had about 37 amateur fights. I'm winning 4 national titles, and then getting some upsets on the way. I fell out of love with the amateurs, and then had a few years off to sort of figure out what I wanted to do next. You know, I was blessed. My family have worked hard, and, you know, boxing isn't everything for me. You know, I don't have to box. I don't, you know, I was, again, one of the kids that, you know, was more privileged than other fighters I've grown up with, you know, and it is a very tough game. I fully am aware of, you know, how hard this game is, but I choose to do it. Do you know what I mean?
There's a difference.
There is a massive difference, you know. It isn't about the money.
Want and need are very different things. Yeah, you're right.
And
your father was a great fighter, by the way, and I know that he had a great living outside of boxing with his property and the stuff that you do.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, did you ever move around with the old man?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Well, funny you just said that, because he's actually here, so we'll get him in the studio in a minute, and he can tell us how that all went down, mate. All right, we'll get his opinion on it. Listen, Tommy Welsh is with us. We're going to bring Scott in a minute. We'll get him in. We'll get him in the studio. Do stick with us. This is Fight Night on talkSPORT.
football ground are you thinking of when someone says this?
Really tough place to go. Difficult place to go. Such a tough place to go.
It's a tough place to go at the moment.
It was a really difficult place to go.
But what are the toughest places to go, really? We've had a look. Forget a cold, wet Tuesday night in Stoke. Try a blizzard 220 miles inside the Arctic Circle. When Chelsea lost at Tromsø in Norway in the Cup Winners' Cup, a massive snowstorm hit at half-time. These two boys and their brooms were absolutely no match for it. We're staying in Scandinavia for Scotland's toughest away day on the side of a cliff in the Faroe Islands in Euro 2000 qualifying. The pitch at Toff.
It's Fight Night on talkSPORT. I'm Adam Catterall. Spencer Oliver's alongside me. Tommy Welsh has very kindly come to join us in the studio. And as you just heard just before the break, his dad was in the green room at the back there. So we thought, why not, man? Listen, Scott used to be able to do a bit. So let's remind everybody how much you used to be able to do, mate. Let's get him in here. Scott, thank you so much for coming to join us on the show, buddy. Nice. If you could sit in on that microphone so people can obviously hear your dulcet tones as well. Okay. We've just been listening to, obviously... Tommy speaking about the opportunity that's coming up at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against Richard Riakporhe, which he's extremely excited about. And it's exciting from a fight fan's point of view as well, because obviously he's served his time. It feels like, there's been... The opportunities haven't come his way. Now they've come, and now, obviously, this is his moment to be able to shine. But from your point of view, as a dad that's been there, done it, and got the T-shirt in this game, how frustrating has it been for you watching his journey, or does it remind you of everything that kind of happened to you a few years back?
Yeah, I mean, when you've lived this game, I've lived this game. It's been a long time coming, but I believe that this is the right time there. I'm a firm believer in what will be will be. So this for me is the right time. This window of opportunity now is a perfect window. He's 30 years old. I was there kind of 28. He's there at 30. You got longer in the game now. You're going on longer. So I believe he's at a great position. He's been through quite a bit, and he's stayed true to the course. Yeah. And he knows exactly what's in front of us. And it's exciting times. So it's his time now. So
that twinkle in the eyes back again that you mentioned 2 minutes ago.
I told you, mate, we've got double trouble in here at the moment. We've got Tommy and we've got Scott. Scott's been there, seen it, done it. World title opportunity against Henry Akawandi in 1997. Seems like yesterday, actually. I remember sitting there watching that fight. Yeah. I was fighting around that time as well. Yeah. And you go, time just flies so much, Scott, but you have got that experience and you do recognise, that opportunity, that window of opportunity, and when's the right time and when's the wrong time to take things, niggling injuries and certain fights that are offered to you, etc., etc., etc. But you go in now against, a former world champion, a guy, yes, he is moving up in weight. Challenger, sorry. A guy that's moving up in weight. But, we've seen in recent times, the cruiserweights that moved up are very successful. And you go, when the fight was presented to you, Richard Riakporhe, a dangerous guy, what made you think, this is the right time now? I know you got confidence in your son's ability, but, you navigate the way through and you go, that's the one I want. What was that?
I think the timing's perfect. So we're ready. We're in Saudi in the gym, just finished the gym session when Parker's opponent pulled. And
you're talking
let's actually one second. Yeah. Let's actually state facts here.
Go on.
Talking back on manifestation, right?
Yep.
I almost manifested myself an opportunity against Joe Parker. I went to the gym with my dad, the Mike Tyson gym in Saudi. I got a good friend over there who was taking us around, and we ended up in the gym at the time, just before the fighters were coming in. 3 days before the show was kicking off. And I see Big Bang, in the gym, on the pads. And I thought, wow, he's not as big as I thought he was going to be, to be honest. I stood next to him and was watching him, and I assumed he was going to be bigger than what he actually was. So was watching his pads and stuff, and I know he's obviously just going through the, going through the motions. I said to my dad, I said, if anything weird happens here with the German, Agit Kabiar, I would step in. Like that, and my dad laughed and he was like, don't be stupid, I said, no, seriously, like, I think speed sort of, against him would cause him a lot of problems. and he thought I was just going on a bit of a mad sort of tangent. And that day I read that Daniel Dubois had pulled out against Joe Parker. And I said, Dad, this could be it. You know, I'd only just boxed like a week before, or 2 weeks. It was only, you know, I boxed the journeyman, was just ticking over. But I said, this might be an opportunity that has landed on our laps to get in there in Saudi and fight. So I said, ring up Spencer. I said, call him and...
Spencer Brown is now you're referring to.
Spencer Brown, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, you can call me whenever you want, mate.
Spencer's doing the matchmaking here, yeah, go on.
I said, and say that we're in town and, you know, we'll fight. And he sort of looked at me and he was like, really, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, get him on the phone and, you know, let's see what the crack is. If they can't get anyone, we're here, we're in town. And he said, all right. So anyway, we called him up and Spencer jumped on it, spoke to Eddie and they come back with an offer. I said, yes.
Yeah.
He said, obviously, you said yes.
Yeah.
I was excited. I was ringing my team like, listen, you might have to book some flights here and get straight over because we could be in the ring in 2 days' time.
So we had a very exciting few hours, didn't we?
Yeah.
While we were.
And they never, they were happy. Then obviously, Bacoli got confirmed. So I was a little bit disappointed, to be honest.
But that attitude
Yeah.
has led to this. Surely that's led to this.
Yeah.
Showing what you've shown there has
Right.
absolutely led to this opportunity, which is another Ring Magazine card coming up on November 15th.
Absolutely.
Is that how this opportunity manifested itself? Because obviously Turkey see that you were going to go in.
Well, I think
that was it. They give you the opportunity.
I think the name obviously would have gone out there then, Tommy's name and that opportunity, and then this one with Riakporhe. I'm not sure they really wanted the fight with Riakporhe with us straight away.
They were going around the house.
Yeah, they went around the houses and they were looking at other options as well. And I think there was we obviously we're part of the family as far as we're concerned with Chris Jr. and
of course,
all of them, and Connor as well.
Yeah.
So we're all very, very close. So I think we were mentioned, and then I think Junior's side gave it a nice little push as well. So that was great. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, what a beautiful opportunity.
Yeah.
Like you say,
absolutely.
like, all the frustrations and the hardship that people, no one sees.
Yeah.
And you get in your fights, but the frustration is there, and that for a fighter who doesn't need to fight, by the way. You know, who has that financial security. You've done very well in life, and, you know, he's chose to do it off his own back, but the frustrations that go with that as well, that's a roller coaster, a tough one.
Yeah.
A very tough one.
I mean, Tom is, as he said himself, we've been up and down many times in this game, and me through my career and what we go through, I don't get fazed by any of it now. So it all goes over my head, and I'm always a very calm guy to say, listen, Tom, this has happened for this reason. Don't worry about it. Our time will come. We had Babbitt before Fisher.
Yeah.
And then we were going to take it, but again, things wasn't exactly right. And I didn't believe that we should fight at that minute.
For the money
Fisher had
absolutely,
absolutely the best fight of his life or his career. You know, and it set him on the path to the road that he went on. So, you know, did we miss our time? Yeah, we probably did. But hey ho, we're here now.
But
so
in heavyweight boxing, Scott, you're only ever one win away, aren't you? And this is your one win. Because Riakporhe is that name that you know, and you know that a win here catapults you into. Hold on a minute, where's this kid come from?
Yeah. Mate,
I think I remember his old man back in the day.
I mean, make no mistake, he's definitely a dangerous kid. He is definitely a dangerous guy. So, but I've been training him for these guys for 20 odd years.
I grew up watching my dad fight people like Riakporhe. Do you know what I mean? The James Iabowlers, the Akawandis. You know? And now I feel like, you know, I'm sort of living.
He wants to show his he wants to have his go now.
Can I ask you just quickly, because your old man was a good fighter who, you know, achieved a lot of stuff, boxing for that world title, as I've already mentioned, out in America. You go, has that inspired you a little bit more? As in, like, you know, it's always, you always want to follow in your dad's footsteps and try and achieve what they've achieved and make them proud and all of that sort of stuff. Do you take a lot of inspiration from what your father achieved back in the day?
Yeah, I mean,
did you grow up thinking, I want to do that?
Yeah. I I did. I really did. Because I see how respected he is. You know, and I always loved the respect that he got for being, you know, such a good fighter. And especially, you know, at the time, he was like one of the only white heavyweights in England amongst all the fighters out there that were coming through. And you had like Lennox, you had, you know, Herbie Hyde, you had Mason, you had
Bruno, all those, yeah.
Tyson, you know, all of these guys. And my dad lived with them, you know, Shannon Briggs as well, who he spent a lot of time sparring with, and all champions that I've only ever heard them speak very well of him every time I've met them. Do you know what I mean? If, you know, if he's instilling the stuff that he has done with me, you know, why can't I ever go? You know, I've got his DNA, and, you know, we was raised differently, of course. He didn't start fighting until he was 19 years old. For me, I was in the gym at 7 years old. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've had him guiding me the whole time. So, you know, especially with the generation of, you know, today, I have mixed with a lot of top level fighters out there, and, you know, in the gym, and, you know, Riatpour is a top level fighter in my eyes. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a British and Commonwealth champion. He's literally done what my dad done at heavyweight, at cruiserweight, you know? So I'm not a big heavyweight. My dad wasn't a big heavyweight, you know? So it's going to be a good fight.
It's going to be a great fight. Just to finish, what are your emotions like? Well, obviously, we speak to fighters all the time about their emotions. You've experienced that yourself when you've been walking to the ring and doing your thing.
Yeah.
What's your emotions like watching him?
So I had an experience very early in our amateur career, and I had to say, when you're in the corner, if you can't be a father in the corner, you have to be a trainer. So, because you react differently as a father. So I've done his whole career as a trainer. So we've had the biggest almost punch-ups. Arguments continually was an everyday thing at the start, through to getting it through to him. And he's a very cool cat. So he takes it all in his stride. Do I think he'll be fazed by walking out in front of however many people are going to be in that stadium on the Saturday night? I don't believe he is. I believe he will handle it very, very well. And we're going to be putting on a show.
Scott, just quickly, how do you separate father and trainer, though? How do you separate those emotions?
Well,
when you come to blows in the gym, that separates it quite.
It was, I mean, you have to be, you know, listen, we're in a vicious sport. We're in a, you know more than anyone, Spencer, right? We're in a game that death is part of, right? So you have to. I've done a lot of searching in my life and in my head through my career and also his career. So everything I've dealt with, I have to kind of completely separate, because every time we walk that walk to the ring is a dangerous place to be. But I've dealt with that, and I believe that all the people, all the fathers and sons that have done well have dealt with it. So I'm no different. I understand the dangers more than anybody in this game, because I've also had my friend in an amateur gym, brain damaged, who, when I was amateur, and I used to push him out in the chair before I even went professional. He was paralysed on one side. He eventually made a full recovery, like yourself. But you know, so I've dealt with that kind of stuff as well. But we know the dangers. He knows the dangers, and
sometimes you've got to roll the dice.
We've got to, you've got to dare to be great in this game.
Like a fighter, there's a switch.
Yeah.
And that's the switch that you have to go from father to trainer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a fighter, we're fighting, we're friends, but it's business. Switch. We're
absolutely. On. Light switch.
Yeah.
Done. Yeah.
Nice. And that's where the admiration from the fan base comes from, because you're very, very special people to be able to make that walk. We wish you all the best, mate. I'm delighted that you've got the opportunity.
Yeah, same.
Just on that, can I just say a big shout out to Nova Sport? They've really sort of pushed my corner in sorting all of this out for me, and that is Eubank's team. So, you know, without them, we probably wouldn't be on this table right now. So that's massive.
Absolutely, mate.
Without a doubt,
Enjoy the camp, gents. No punch-ups in the gym, all right, between you two. Strictly business.
Save it to the 15th, mate, please.
Absolutely. Yeah. Listen, there's a young man fighting next week on our Sheffield card that we're going to be bringing you live on talkSPORT. It's Junaid Boston. He's going to be on the show next. Don't go anywhere.
possibly one of the best prospects in British boxing.
He's still undefeated, the Starboy, Junaid Boston.
Here we go. It's fight night on talkSPORT. The guests are coming thick and fast. How good were the Welsh boys there, eh? Tommy and Scott.
Incredible, mate. Absolutely incredible. Like, if anything, I wish we had more time with him because, like, we've been just talking off air there, haven't we?
Yeah.
Like, you know, Scott was a great fighter and he's a beautiful human being as well. You know, he does so much with, you know, the Ringside Charitable Trust and, like, you know, trying to help other fighters as well. And obviously the emotions, talking about the emotions with his son and, like, you know, how do you separate the emotions from the boxing trainer and all of that, because they're both deep thinkers as well. And, yeah, I would love to have gone so much further into it, so much deeper, because Scott was a great fighter who boxed for the, I told you, he boxed for the world title. And I remember it because I was boxing around that time. And I remember Jim McDonald was his trainer at the time. He was in the corner. I wanted to ask Scott about it, but we never had enough time.
We'll get him in fight week, man.
Yeah.
Get him in fight week.
I always remember him showing a photo of a young Tommy there. He must have, I don't know, may have been, what is he, 30 now? 97. So he would have been about 3 or 4. And he was going, do you want this? Do you want this? And he got a picture of Tommy and the family. He went, that's what you're doing it for. And Scott was like, you know, oh, I want it. I want it. It was fantastic. But yeah, we'd love to have got into that side of it. But yeah, we'll get him in fight week, sure. And we get deep into that, you know, and how all that works. It's a fantastic side of the sport that we don't hear enough of.
Absolutely. And we're entering a fight week for this young man who's about to join us on the show. Next weekend, we're going to be in Sheffield. It's Dave Allen's turn against Arslanbek Makhmudov. We spoke about this right at the start of the show. We also highlighted a couple of fights that are on that card as well. And one fight that a few fight fans have been extremely excited about since their first tumble in January. Is this one between Junaid Boston and Bilal Fawaz. And Junaid very kindly given up a bit of time a week out from the fight to come and join us to wax lyrical. How are you, mate? You good?
I'm all good, thank you. How are you, mate?
Very well. Great. Yeah, exactly. Great to have you back on the show. January. Let's have a quick think back to obviously the first fight between yourself and Bilal. It's a split decision draw. That's the result that comes off the back of it. We can pick holes in various bits, mate, but the most important thing is the things that you take away from it. So what are those things that you've digested since January? And how does that then change mentality, physicality, all those types of things coming into this fight next weekend?
I mean, it's more of a waking up call more than anything. Of course, like the fight itself, it was a close fight. A fight that I admittedly say could have gone either way. But I'm a week out now. We get to put things right. So October 11th will be a good night.
Yeah, talking about that fight, you know, you're going into that one, and I think it'd probably be fair to say that, you know, you were the guy that they're building up, and you were the guy that, you know, you're getting your knockouts and you're making a big statement and people are starting to talk about you. You know, I recognise this as well because we've all been there and we've all done that, and you think, you're sort of guilty of sort of turning up thinking, I've just got to turn up and win and, you know, look good in doing it and not maybe, you know, paying the opponent the respect that you should be paying them. Do you feel that you fell into that trap and maybe underestimated Fawaz, you know, when going into that fight?
Yeah, probably, if I'm honest with you, yeah. I think people forget, like, away from the boxing, you have a life outside of it. And with me, I'm a 23-year-old lives in a council estate, and you have a life away from boxing. And sometimes you can get caught up in that. And I feel like I may have done that a little. And with the position that I am in, I think I took it a little for granted without realising. I'll never make that mistake again.
How good's that, though, to have that realisation now? Because, mate, I think that's a mega thing. And also, you've got the maturity on your shoulders to appreciate what happened in January as well. You've got an amazing talent, and for you to be able to sit here with us and just say, listen, man, yeah, all right, you know, everybody was talking about me. This was the crack at the time. Maybe I did undercook myself coming into that particular fight in January, and that wake-up call is now going to take me to the next level. I think that's these are blessings at the end of the day, Junaid, aren't they?
No, of course, and I feel like I'm the type of person who has to learn the hard way. I'm honest with that.
You've always been that type of guy, have you?
Definitely. And again, like I said before, I think people seem to forget that you do have a life away from boxing, and just because you're on a TV screen and you're having pro photos and things of that nature, everyone seems to think like you've got everything sweet, and it's far from the truth. But we can get into that at a different time. But for now, for me, all my focus is on purely October 11th. Nothing more, nothing less.
How
And it
much?
has been for the meanwhile.
How much have you enjoyed then this camp? Because you're coming across as a guy that kind of enjoys learning about yourself, growing, learning, developing. You come across as that type of human being, mate. So how much have you enjoyed the period of time since, obviously, the end of that fight to where you're at right now?
It's been a long, hard time since January, but just because of that doesn't mean that I'm not grateful for it. Hindsight's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
This time next week I will be English champion, and I'll be grateful for what I've gone through. There's a lot what's happened. There's a lot what I could go into, but again, anything that I say now is irrelevant. It's all what happened. Anything, and then once I go into it after I've won, then it's all happy days. But for now, I'm just focused on the job.
You know, like you were saying there, sometimes it is that kick up the backside that you need, and that does, make you rediscover yourself in many ways, go soul searching in many ways as well, to sort of put yourself back on track. All fighters have to do that. It is a roller coaster of a ride, not just physically, but mentally as well. And you seem to have been on that journey in the last few months. So what is different now to what it was then? I know you're talking about underestimating him or whatever else, but sometimes something like that is the moulding of a fighter, the making of a fighter. So I just want to get into that side of it with you. What is different now to what was to then?
For starters, myself, I'm in a much better place.
Yeah, mentally.
Regardless of, again, it's the.
But how did you find that? Is what I'm saying.
How did I find what? Sorry, myself.
Like you say, like you say, mentally you're better going in now because of the situation. What happened? How did you know? How did you get there?
It wasn't necessarily even the fight what made me go into a certain place. This is my point. It's like you have a life away from boxing, and people don't really take that into consideration. And there's a whole lot you're accountable for, and they have to take into consideration going into a fight. And I feel like my eye probably wasn't on the ball. So again, when you say, was I underestimated mentally? Probably not. Like I understood what was in front of me. But again, it's just you're trying to board everything on, and you feel like you can take everything on. But now he's got most respect in terms of his ability, and I've took it very seriously. And lifestyle changes, the team I've got around me, I'm a lot more accountable, and I put the work in. But it's easy for me saying that now. It'll all come to light come Saturday.
I love conversations like this, man.
Absolutely.
I love speaking to people that are obviously on a journey of growth and a journey of self-discovery, and that seems like where you've been over the last 6 to 7 months since that first fight. How delighted are you that this one's taking place up north, mate? You know what I mean? The Steel City, pal.
I'm buzzing. Listen, it's 10 minutes down the road.
I was going to say, you can walk, can't you?
No, well, I can walk from. Well, this is funny you say that because not from my house, no, but I can walk from my gym to the arena. The bus, what I used to get every day to the gym, used to stop off at the EIS, which is literally 100 meters away from the arena. So, I mean, I've been going past that for a whole lot of time, and it's almost like a pinch me moment. Obviously, I've boxed there 2-3 times now already, but again, I've been going to the arena, watching big fights there live, sneaking in from a £40 ticket into ringside, then watching all Naz's fights like from back in the day. Like, believe it or not, like you've pictured yourself being in these big fights, and then you almost come to realization that I'm there now. Yeah. I'm cheap support to a big fight. Over 8,000 tickets have been sold. I've done well over 400 myself, and it's a big fight. It's been built up to be something much more, and this is just a start for me. This is just a start, and I'm glad I've got the lesson out of the way because I'll not make that same mistake again.
Sinead, I was very fortunate seeing you right at the very beginning of your career. I think you might have been training for your first pro fight when I come up to Grant Smith's gym, and I saw you training in there, and it was like a Rocky movie in there. Like, I love these old school gyms when you go in there, and it's just like he was in there sparring with some big dude that was like a middleweight or something. There was some mad stuff going on.
I remember you being there.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was so good, mate. But I just went in there and I went, yeah, this is what we're talking about. This is like
proper.
Yeah, proper, like a proper gym. And you guys train proper, like the way that you're meant to train. You were all getting in and out, and you rotating around. Dalton Smith was a big part of that as well. And I'm just looking, going, this kid's got a future. I think I don't know if you had you was just getting ready for your debut, maybe then, was it? And you kept telling me, remember the name. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'll remember the name now. Here we are. And you're on the show. And, you're going into right the wrongs of the last contest and, get back on track with your career. It's a fascinating time, mate. It really is. And it's, like I say, I just really enjoyed that moment. And I'm glad you're where you are now.
I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm content. But at the same time, there's more to be done.
Sure.
I remember you being at the gym. Funnily enough, I do remember that day as well. It just happened to be you got there on a chaotic day, but how to explain it? I've grown so much more from then. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm ADHD, like, I can't sit my ass still. Do you know what I mean? In 5 more minutes, I'll be bouncing off the walls here. But again, if I'm in the same situation in 2 years' time and I'm telling you that I've not grown from here, then that's job failed, isn't it? So the growth is needed, and I'll show that next week. The reason I say that is because even last year I only boxed twice.
Yeah.
This year I've only boxed once. Obviously, but the second comes next week. Like I've not that I feel like I've been forgotten, but at the same time I think next Saturday I'm gonna remind everyone. Yeah, like I don't think anyone's forgot, but I feel like it's almost like, right, I'm gonna let you man know what's what. Like, remember, like, I'm that kid. Do you know what I mean? I'm soon to be that man, and it's the coming of age. Like, I'm 23. Not only have I developed mentally, but even my body physically, like, I can feel it. Like, I genuinely can feel it. Things outside of the ring where, again, like I said, it's a lifestyle. Boxing's always been like kind of plaster over my life. Like, my boxing's always been good, but maybe things away from it hasn't. But because my boxing's okay, everything's been put to a side. Eventually, the cracks come through the walls, and you got to face it. haven't you? You got to look at what it is and answer yourself what you want to do. And I've done that, and I'll reap the rewards next Saturday. This time next week, I will be English champion. Believe you me.
Looking forward to seeing it live on talkSPORT, mate. So Spencer will be interviewing you after next week's fight. All right. So bring some big lyrics.
Definitely, don't you worry. I'll be a lot more upfront than now.
I'm sure you will, mate, with that adrenaline pumping through your veins. I saw you in the gym and I saw you calling out that big middleweight that time. So, yeah, looking forward to it, my friend. Best of luck next week. We'll be there.
Enjoy the week, Junaid. Thanks for joining us, mate. Take care, buddy. Ta-da. He's live next week on talkSPORT. Make sure you're tuning in. It is that rematch that everybody's been talking about between Junaid Boston and Bilal Fawaz. It's the chief support to Dave Allen and Arslan Bekmukmudov. So make sure you're tuning into that with me, Spencer, and the rest of the gang on talkSPORT next weekend. Don't go anywhere. We've still got plenty to talk about. We've got an hour left. Don't go anywhere.
Hamilton, now at Ferrari, dares to dream of a record 8th F1 world title. The Tifosi will be hoping the Brits can bring glory back to Italy. To many, Ferrari and Formula One are inseparable. They're the only team in the sport today to have competed in the first World Championship in 1950, are the most successful team in history, and have built some absolutely gorgeous cars. Their first driver's title was won in 1952 by Alberto Ascari. Considered one of F1's most dominant and best-loved champions, he drove the iconic Ferrari 500 and defended his title the year after. It was Juan Manuel Fangio in his Ferrari 250 who secured the team's next driver's title in 1956. Remember, he was world champion 5 times with 4 different teams. Mike Hawthorne, Phil Hill and John Surtees also won titles for Ferrari in the 50s and 60s, and the cars back then were beautiful, and they even sounded great, didn't they? Anyway, Ferrari went 11 years without winning a title until Niki Lauda won in 1975 in the iconic 312T. Throughout much of the 80s and 90s, though, Ferrari looked like they'd never go all the way again. Le Professeur Alain Prost came pretty close in 1990, but lost out to his bitter rival and former teammate at McLaren, Ayrton Senna. It was only when John Todt recruited a swathe of staff from outside of Italy, including Michael Schumacher, that the glory days returned 21 years after their last driver's title. The turn of the century saw the prancing horse sprint to an unprecedented 5 consecutive championship doubles. And after Schumacher left, Kimi Raikkonen reclaimed the driver's title immediately. But despite employing 1,500 people, the Iceman remains the last Ferrari world champion. So, 16 constructors' titles, 7 more than McLaren, and 15 drivers' titles, 4 more than, again, McLaren. Ferrari are truly Formula One's top team. Forza Ferrari.
It's Fight Night on talkSPORT, and the show is absolutely flying. We are streaming on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. It is the best platform in the world for all boxing and fight sports conversation. Go and get yourself stuck in. I'm Adam Catterall, Spencer Oliver alongside me for this Saturday night shenanigans. And I tell you what, you're on the inside. You're on the inside with this. Now, I don't know whether you're going to give the information or not, but I'm going to attack you anyway with it. We have seen 2 prominent boxing promoters this week have their picture taken with Mr. Turki Al-Sheikh. I think it was on Tuesday where Eddie Hearn was out in Saudi Arabia and he had his picture taken with him, and he said, listen, where in the world can you spend 2 hours shooting the breeze with Turki Al-Sheikh and change the dynamics, not just of one sport, but of 3 sports? And this kind of leads, obviously, a little bit of fuel to the fire with everything that's happened in the Netflix documentary, where he highlighted, Eddie Hearn this is, that Turki Al-Sheikh is interested in maybe investing or purchasing in some way, shape or form Matchroom Sports. So that's one part of the conversation. Second part of the conversation, a little bit later on in the week, another boxing promoter rocks up in Saudi Arabia, Mr. Ben Shalom, and he said, hey, done a great deal here. Me and Turki Al-Sheikh, Riyadh season, are investing and getting involved in some shape or form with Boxer and their new deal with the BBC. It's on the second one that I'm picking your brains, mate. Do you know anything about the intricacies of it?
No, because I've not had those conversations with Ben Shalom. I know that there were ongoing talks. We saw Ben out there, and we know that Ben Shalom's done this fantastic deal with the BBC.
Yeah.
You know, people were worried, is he even going to stay in the sport after the Sky deal had gone? Ben went very, very quiet, as he does. And I'm, speaking to him going, come on, mate, we need to speak now, Ben. Don't worry, I've got something coming. I went, yeah, I know, but time is passing, mate. People are worrying, fighters are asking questions. What's going on? You're keeping silent. And then, boom, he's come up with this BBC deal, which I think is fantastic. And now a new deal with Riyadh Season, which, sort of puts him on those big shows as well.
Mm-hmm.
We know Chris Eubank Jr., who's involved with Boxer, has some form of relationship with Boxer, is on that Riyadh card as well. So, look, yeah, good times, man. Good times. Ben Shalom, sort of the dark horse in the division, shall we say.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what that deal looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it sponsorship? Is it investment? What is that? Listen, it's going to come out, I've no doubt, of the next 7 to 14 days, the intricacies of that relationship there, because I think it's a very shrewd move from Turki Al-Sheikh to be involved in Boxer, who obviously have a BBC deal, so therefore that, from a sponsorship point of view, gets to a lot of eyeballs, a lot more eyeballs, with all due respect to what he's probably currently experiencing with DAZN. Even though I think he's a part owner of DAZN as well, hasn't he? I think he's invested in DAZN. I think he's got a certain percentage of that channel too.
Yep.
He's involved in a lot of things in the world of boxing that are moving us in a certain direction. So it will be interesting to see what the intricacies of that is, and it's also going to be interesting to stem back to the former part of that conversation, how far down the line we go with investment, sales of shares of Matchroom, because that feels like it's a real conversation. I mean, from the Netflix documentary, and we can only go off what we've been given from that, but there is a real interest from Saudi Arabia, from PIF, to invest in some way, shape or form in Matchroom. We know that they obviously sold 13% of the business a couple of years back to Pitch, didn't they? And now they're in a negotiation, not just for boxing, but for darts, snooker. I mean, they've got a lot to offer of Matchroom, haven't they?
Matchroom Sport is a huge operation, like you say. Boxing is a very small part of it. Actually, darts,
that's the jewel, isn't it?
That's 2 times as big as boxing as an earner for Matchroom Sport. But darts has grown massively. I bet
they do that over Christmas with Ali Pally, don't they?
Turkey has grown a huge interest in that. Could you imagine him saying, right, we love the game of darts, let's do something different. He's done it with the snooker, by the way, because he's introduced the gold ball.
The golden ball, yeah.
The golden ball.
What do you reckon he can do in darts? Bow and arrow? Is that how they do it? Like Robin Hood type stuff?
Listen, that's going to be...
That'd be wicked.
That's a great question, actually. What are they going to do? They will do something, because it is...
They don't need to change darts, man.
No. But
they're nailed darts.
No, you're right. But it's all about reinventing, just adding a little twist, a little sprinkle, just a little sprinkle. But yeah, it's interesting because I know Eddie's shown on that Netflix documentary, not just there, but I think he's been talking in recent times about not wanting to be his father and being involved in this business as long as it is. He wants to do other things with his life, and
and that's fair.
So boxing is something he may step away from. We know that Frank Smith, the CEO of the boxing, he could step up, take over, like George Warren with Frank Warren. They are being primed as the younger generation to come through. Ben Shalom is a young guy himself with Boxer. But yeah, it'll be interesting because I do believe something will happen with Turki Al-Sheikh and the investment of Matchroom Sport.
Okay.
Because I think they have a good relationship. I think they're close. They're obviously having ongoing conversations. And if you look at Matchroom Sport as a whole, what a successful, what an incredible business that Barry Hearn built up. Starting going way back when he started up with Steve Davis.
It's one of the great British success stories, mate.
It really is, mate. Started up with Steve Davis, getting into snooker and, managing Steve.
Mate, it's wild.
Growing it from there.
It's wild. If you think of the sports that they've made massive, niche, snooker, darts, and obviously boxing. I mean, I said boxing being niche. It kind of is, but it's the second most popular sport, I would say, in the country.
Adam, rewind quickly to the darts. Darts was dead and buried in the water, my friend.
Yeah.
It was. Now look at what they have done with it, how they've reinvented it. You go, Barry Hearn, Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Sport. I have to salute you because, they're like gold dust.
They're doing it with pool as well now, by the way.
Absolutely.
Nine ball billiards.
We've got Andy Goldstein. He was out there not so long ago, wasn't he? He's got himself in the mix.
I know.
He's muscled his way in there. Incredible.
It is. So it is going to be interesting to see how these relationships do play out. And I've no doubt the information will come our way over the next 7 to 14 days. How do you think that affects everything from what we were speaking about earlier on? Obviously, there's a bigger plan. It just at the moment, it feels like people are putting chess pieces on a board in place. That's what it feels like to me. Obviously, Turkey's got his Ring magazine thing. He's doing a partnership with Dana White and Zuffer Boxing over in the States. He's now talking to Eddie Hearn about purchasing Matchroom. Obviously, he's got a relationship in some way, shape or form with Frank. He's now talking about investment with Ben Shalom. It feels like just pieces are being put into place before something big, really big happens.
Don't forget about the ongoing conversations with Netflix as well, which captures another, another generation, of a younger generation. So, like, it's very interesting, isn't it? Because you talk to Turkey, and we talked to him many years ago, and he's talking about wanting to change the sport, not just the belts, not just the governing bodies and the way that it's run, the broken sport that it is. But just imagine, and as crazy as this seems, he's talking to all these people about investing in whatever, and he cleans up and he does. Dana White is the key to all this, by the way, because I think that they will change the model through that, and it may take a bit of time. We're talking about these governing bodies and the Ali Act and all of that, and with all the promoters that are involved. But if they invest enough in each company, including the TV companies, I know DAZN's a part of them now.
Yeah.
Netflix is now, they're going, hold a minute, that's a nice little audience there. Captures a different generation, a different audience. You go, the long-term goal, which happens very quick, by the way, with Saudi Arabia and Riyadh season and Turkey Al Sheikh, their long-term goal is like a 3-year period. Like our long-term goal, you go, well, in 10 years,
yeah.
Totally different, because they have the money to do that. You could find it all under one umbrella, and we could be having huge change. Change is good. I'm not one of those stuck in the mud type guys. It's just, it's going to be interesting. It's a huge job, but if anyone can do it, they can.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere. Listen, this is breaking news on the show, right? Maybe 3 months ago, I was introduced to Noah on this programme, right? And in fact, Friday nights as well, Noah, yeah? And he came into the studio and he said, would you lads like a drink? As they do. They look after us immensely here at talkSPORT. We've got a great team behind the glass. Now, Noah came in and he made... It wasn't tea. It was more like dishwater is what he made, right? It was an absolute shocking abomination of a cup of tea. Now, anybody knows me and any northerner, cups of tea have got to be bang on, man.
But it's not an easy thing to do, by the way. A cup of tea,
it is.
It sounds easy. It's easy if you're a northerner, clearly, because you love your tea.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is you get it wrong,
and
it's big time wrong. I can't drink a wrong cup of tea. I'm not a big tea
I
drinker.
agree, mate. I agree. Now, I'll tell you what, I've been reluctant to take his cups of tea recently, and just from a bad experience. I had a bad experience with a dishwater thing.
I mean, how bad?
It was terrible, right? However, what I will say, right, I know he's grafting away in the back there. He's doing a proper job, not just making brews, right? He's doing an actual proper job on the show. But he's made the offer. Is he sorted you a coffee out there?
Yeah, it's not a coffee, mate. It's a cappuccino.
Okay, a cappuccino. You've got one of them. I gave in. I said, go on, have another go. That might just be the best cup of tea that I've ever had made here at talkSPORT. He's nailed it, man.
Well, I'm looking over to my right.
Do you reckon he made it? Or do you reckon he's got somebody else to do that?
No.
That's a proper cup of tea, mate.
That's a strong cup of tea.
Yeah, proper.
See,
Just a splash of milk, son.
No, I'm a southerner, so I like it quite milky.
That's a milkshake. That is a cup of tea, lad. Well done, Noah.
Well done, Noah.
Absolutely. Listen, let's... I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll have a little bit of fun. Were you into the golf last week with the Ryder Cup and all that?
Yeah, I love the golf.
Mate, it's captivating TV, captivating radio. Team Europe taking on Team USA. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to create that. Shall we create a Team Europe, Team USA, or even a Team UK, Team USA 5v5?
Let's do it.
Yeah? Right,
I mean, let's go Europe. Let's go Europe.
All right. I'll tell you what. Go on then. Go on.
We'll go. Yeah, let's do Europe.
Now, I'm going to be dead honest, right? Ideally, in this scenario, I would want to put a heavyweight fight on. Okay? I don't think America have a heavyweight that would be able to live with a heavyweight that I want to put in from Team Europe.
I disagree.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Give me a heavyweight fight then. Give me an heavyweight suggestion. If we're going to put 5 fights on...
Sure.
Go for it, man.
I'm going to fire one off. You're going to like it.
Go on, man.
This is good.
All right.
Moses Itauma.
That's the heavyweight that I was thinking of from Team Europe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Richard Torres Jr.
Do you think he can live with him?
It's a great fight. Whether he can live with him or not, it's a great fight. Torres Jr. is the guy of the moment in the States.
Okay.
You go, is coming through. He is the big name that is steamrolling through everyone. You know, he knocked out the guy that knocked out Makhmadov.
Yeah, fair enough.
Right? So he's a machine.
He's the hottest. He is the hottest thing in America.
Put him in for the hottest thing in the UK. There you go. I've made the fight. There is the fight.
Okay.
Do you like that?
No, I do like it. I do.
Did you think about that one? Or?
Well, listen. I'm a glory hunter, mate. I've gone world title, right?
Go on then.
So you've obviously you've used your brain and you've gone top prospect versus top prospect.
Yeah.
I like a 50-50. Let's have it. Check this out. This is going to be my main event. If I was putting the 5v5 on now, this would be my main event now, right?
Go.
Representing Team Europe, and I was stuck between 2 fighters, but I've gone with the fighter that I believe would do better in this fight. I still don't think that he would get Team Europe a point. I don't think he'd win, but I think he would do better than maybe the other options that are available in this weight division. Are you ready?
Okay.
Representing Team Europe in the main event, Hamza Shiraz. Representing Team USA, Terence Crawford.
I've got it down.
Mate, it's a fight.
I've got it down.
It's a fight, isn't it?
I've got it down. And do you know what I put as the reserve? Because I love that fight.
Chris Eubank Jr.
No. I think that Terence Crawford lets the belts go and drops down the weight. That's where the injury
right.
is.
Okay.
So I've got Diego Pacheco.
representing Team USA.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely. An undefeated prospect, 24-0, 18 KOs.
Very good.
I like that fight.
Very good.
I like that fight.
Shiraz Crawford, though. Come on.
That's the fight I want. That's the dream.
Okay.
That's the dream.
What other weight divisions have you had a little tickle with there?
Okay. So I've got some heavyweights, mate, as well. You know, I've got some heavyweights.
You've got your mate in here, haven't you? Go on. Say what you need to say. Get it off your chest.
I haven't got my mate in here.
Is he not in?
No, he's not in.
Go on, then.
Here we go. I've got Dave Allen, if he comes off against Makhmudov next week. I've got Dave Allen versus Deontay Wilder.
I'll tell you.
Love that.
If Dave Allen wins next week, I'll tell you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, if Dave Allen doesn't win, and that fight falls, I'm just saying hypothetically, if he doesn't, and I think he does.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't win next week, and we have to put Wilder in against someone else, representing Europe,
yeah,
Agit Kabayel.
I think Agit has his wicked way with it.
Oh, absolutely.
I think what you've done there, you've loaded a point there for Team Europe.
Absolutely.
That's what you've
Absolutely.
done.
And I've got another one.
Go on.
Can I go again?
Yeah.
Okay. Representing Team Europe.
Against Wilder again?
No.
Go on.
Filip Hrgovic.
Representing Team Europe, Filip Hrgovic, right?
Yeah.
Go on. Are you putting him in with?
I'm putting him in with Gerard Anderson.
You've gone heavyweight heavy hit here, haven't you? You've gone all in.
I've got another one as well.
Blimey, mate. Right, go on.
If Filip Hrgovic is unavailable due to the cuts sustained in his last fight,
Right, okay.
I'm going to go representing Team Europe,
Yeah.
double Olympic champion, Janilov,
Very good.
because no one's talking about this guy.
Jalalov, whoever you put him in with, he's going to beat him.
He's 15-0.
Who's
And I
he?
put him in
Yeah.
with Gerard Anderson.
He beats him.
Absolutely. No, it's not about that.
That's a point for us.
I'm talking about exposure.
Okay.
Janilov is the guy that seems to have gone under the radar, double Olympic champion. He's been dipping his toe in and out of professional boxing, amateur boxing. We understand all
Okay.
that. But he's a handful.
Right. I'm going to
And
give
he should be spoken about a bit more.
Very much so. Very much so. I'm going to give you 5 fights now on my card, right?
Okay.
I want you to rate the card.
I've got one more fight as well. So
Well, you can finish this off because
Yeah,
you're
go
on fire, mate, with heavyweights,
Go on.
right? So I've told you what my main event is going to be.
yeah,
Shiraz versus Crawford.
beautiful.
168. Yeah?
Beautiful.
Now, chief support, pick a fighter that you want, right? I'm going to give you 2 options to represent Team Europe, both from the UK.
Go on.
I'm going to give you 2 fighters. You can choose one.
Okay.
Dalton Smith or Adam Azim. Which one do you want? Because both work in this fight. So you tell me which one you want.
I think you're going to go Dalton Smith right now.
Right, okay?
Yeah.
Dalton Smith will fight representing Team USA, Teofimo Lopez.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Right? It's done. Sign it off. Are you ready for my next one?
Yes, please.
Here we go. Representing Team Europe,
Yes.
Nick Ball.
I've got him down.
Okay. Representing Team USA, I wanted Stephen Fulton, but Stephen Fulton's stepping up in weight, so I'm leaving him alone. I'm going for Shushu Carrington.
Oh, lovely. I had Stephen Fulton down.
Right. Next one. Are you ready for this?
Oh, I'm excited.
He's just managed to get himself a world championship, so that's why he's on my list. Lewis Crocker is going to be representing Team Europe.
That's beautiful.
You ready?
Go.
I'm a big fan of Brian Norman Jr.
That's how,
I'm creating a unification, mate.
I'm not going to lie. It's a great fight.
I'm putting it
A
on.
great opportunity for Crocker.
Yeah.
Because Brian Norman Jr.
He's the real deal.
He's the real deal.
He is the real deal.
You lot may have not have heard of him yet, but you will.
But it's a unification, so it's going on my list.
Beautiful.
All right. Now, where are we at? Where are we at with Conor Benn at the moment?
So,
What weight is he at?
well, this is it. I'm going to put it out there.
Go on then.
I don't think he makes 147 again.
Right.
I think that by jumping up to middleweight to come down to 147 again, he's going to weaken himself.
Yeah.
Right. So he's got to go down to 154. That's where he sits.
Right.
We get 154.
Yeah. Have you got a fight at 154 for him?
Now, what was the fight that's just been offered to him at 154?
I've got a fight for him at 154. Well, I know what's been. He's just been offered the Abbas fight, hasn't he?
Yeah, Abbas,
Barao, which he's just become champion off the back of Terence Crawford reneging that championship.
Relentless.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Relentless, right? That's not the fight I'm giving him.
Go on.
So, if it is 154, Ortiz Jr.
Oh, beautiful.
Great. It's all action,
What
isn't
a
it?
fight.
It's all action.
What a fight.
Shall we do it?
That's the fight.
That completes my card.
I actually like that fight. I'm going to scrub one of my fighters out now. I'm going to have to take one of my heavy out. But I like that fight. I want that fight in there. Conor Benn versus...
What was your last fight that you were going to put on?
Where was I? Oh, yeah. I had Nick Ball, Stephen Fulton.
Yeah,
I had
nice.
that. Dave Allen, Deontay Wilder. I mean, I spent all day on this bit. Like, we had this whole show to prepare for. I just got so wrapped up in this.
Yeah.
This happens. I know. I think we get this in the first quarter of the year. The Team USA versus
That'd be amazing.
Versus Europe.
Do you think we can do this? Do you think we can make Jack Catterall versus Devin Haney?
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
We're already getting Anthony Yarde against David Benavidez, right? So that's one of them.
That's on the 22nd of November.
You're already getting Sam Noakes against Abdullah Mason. That's another one.
That's a great fight.
It is. I'm just looking at other available fighters that we could maybe get in there. What about, Richardson Hitchens is a talent. He could go in with either Adam Azim or Dalton Smith, whichever one you didn't pick.
Well, no, yeah, we'll go Adam Azim, Hitchens. I like that. That's a great fight.
We haven't done Boots Ennis. We haven't given him a fight.
Do you know what? We've got to put Boots in there.
At 154, who do we put? We can't put him in with Conor, can we? Can you put him with Josh Kelly? He's highly ranked. Can you put him in with Josh Kelly?
You've nailed it.
Can we put him in with Josh Kelly?
You've nailed it. It's Josh Kelly.
I'll tell you. Here, do you want a curveball? Check this. Here's my curveball for the day, right?
Go on.
This is the one. Do you know, like when Turkey Elshake's messing with snooker and he puts the golden ball in there, right? This is the golden ball.
Go on.
It's a bit left field, okay? So everything that I've said, that's what I want. I want Shiraz Crawford, Teofimo and Dalton Smith, Ball Carrington, Ben against Ortiz Jr. and Crocker and Norman Jr., right? That's my 5.
Yeah.
But this is your Brucey bonus, right? Now, people might not like this, but this is going to bring in a different type of audience to come and see this event. You ready?
Go on.
Representing Team Europe, Vidal Riley.
I know where you're going here.
Representing Team USA,
Where you're going.
Jake Paul. Do it.
Oh.
Do the fight.
Wow.
It's a proper fight.
That's a massive fight.
It's a proper fight. There's YouTube connections for Vidal and KSI and all that.
Huge.
You've got Jake Paul thinking that he can do a bit. Have a proper fight, mate.
Mate, you need to think about your promotional company, announce it, and get into it, mate.
Listen, Mr. Al-Sheikh, if you want to invest, I'm ready.
I've got it.
Go on.
Get Simon Jordan on your team.
Oh, mate.
He can be the mastermind behind it all. He can be the brains. Stick the little man there. Stick the Omen up front. You can be
the mouth.
I can be the mouth.
I'll just do the matchmaking.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Isn't it?
It's a match made in heaven.
There you go. You've got Team Europe, Team USA. It's coming. I'll tell you what, if all this comes to fruition, we need a percentage here. If they're listening, these matchmakers, somebody's going to nick half of this stuff, isn't they?
Oh, it's happening, mate. This little clip, they'll clip this up, stick it on YouTube. This will be played to Turkey, and he'll go, do you know what? Them boys know what they're talking about.
Make the fights.
Make the fights.
There's the dough, make the fights.
There you go.
There you go. We're just going to have a 5 minutes in a moment or two on tonight's UFC, and then we'll get back into the world of boxing. Don't be going anywhere.
What football ground are you thinking of when someone says this?
Really tough place to go. Difficult place to go. Such a tough place to go.
It's a tough place to go at the moment.
It was a really difficult place to go.
But what are the toughest places to go, really? We've had a look. Forget a cold, wet Tuesday night in Stoke. Try a blizzard 220 miles inside the Arctic Circle. When Chelsea lost at Tromsø in Norway in the Cup Winners' Cup, a massive snowstorm hit at half-time. These two boys and their brooms were absolutely no match for.
Right, as well as obviously all the things that are going on in the world of boxing, and there's a lot going on ahead of quite a busy October, November, December period. It's been a bit sparse, really, hasn't it? Last couple of weeks, we had Canelo Crawford, and then we've had a little bit of a dip off, and it all gets going next week. Obviously, we Dave Allen doing his thing against Makhmedov, and then we build up nicely towards some great shows here in the UK and a little bit further afield as well. As well as obviously talking about everything that's going on in the world of boxing, it's always nice to sprinkle in a little bit of MMA as well, especially with Dana White now coming into the sport of boxing. It kind of all coincides. If you listen a little earlier on, you'll know how I think this is all going to start merging together over the next year or two. Tonight, it's UFC 320. It's taking place in Las Vegas. You've got the light heavyweight championship of the world where Magomed Ankalaev is taking on Alex Pereira. And you've also got Merab Dvalishvili defending his crown at bantamweight against Corey Sandhagen. We've got a rematch here, mate, an immediate rematch. Now, very similar to the world of boxing, from my experiences anyway. I mean, you might be able to highlight some bits that kind of contrary what I'm about to say. When you get an immediate rematch, especially an immediate rematch where the champion went in and he's lost his belt via a decision, when you get an immediate rematch off the back of that, 9 times out of 10, it kind of goes the same way. Very rarely does the champion then win that belt back. We have a massive overturn of something. It happens, of course it does. We've seen it happen, but very rarely it happens. Now, in the world of UFC, check this out. It's never happened. So
they've never reversed it?
From a decision loss. There has only been in 30 years of the UFC where they've had an immediate... Because mostly they don't do immediate rematches. They move on to the next contender straight away. So in immediate rematch history, on 4 occasions, a champion that has lost his belt has gone into an immediate rematch and won it back against that same opponent. But every single time, the reason why they lost the first fight is because they've been stopped. They've been knocked out or stopped on a cut or whatever it may be.
Okay.
Never has anybody lost the decision and then won it back. Tonight we've got a rematch where Alex Pereira's attempting to do something for the very first time to try and win that belt back after losing a decision the first time around. It's a tough thing to do, in it, especially when someone's dominated you over a period.
Absolutely. Now, I want to fire this question straight back at you.
Go on.
This is your game.
Go on.
You understand this game. Is he capable of doing it? Can he do the unthinkable?
Now then, this man has got... If I was to back anybody to land a knockout punch in a fight in over 25 minutes in the UFC, Alex Pereira, maybe Tom Aspinall first, but Alex Pereira would be on the list of fighters that I would name.
Okay, let me jump in there. So you go, he's got the knockout chance to be able to reverse it.
Yes.
Let's go bigger than that.
Okay.
Can he win via decision?
Yes, he can.
Because how good would that be? Because then you are really making history, right?
He's an elite kickboxer.
So he's been beat by the decision and reverses it and wins by decision.
Now, if he did that, I think that would be even more special.
That's what I'm saying.
Than knocking the fella out. I think that would be incredible. His problem is that the fella that he's fighting against tonight can kickbox, not maybe to the level that he can kickbox at, but he can kickbox to a very, very high level, and he beat him on the feet last time out. But his wrestling and grappling are just different level, mate.
Right.
So if there's a problem, like let's say that Alex gets into this fight and he's winning on the feet, he's getting taken down, and he's a bit of a fish out of the water there. His takedown defence is okay, but he's a little bit of a fish out of water. So he's up against a major amount of history tonight, and if he can pull it off, then we've got something very, very special.
Well, come on then. Let's do it.
I think he gets beat.
I thought you were saying...
No. Mate, I would love it. Just from covering any type of sport, you want to see the unbelievable, don't you?
Yeah,
you want to see the thing that nobody thinks is possible. I think it is possible if he knocks Ankalaev out. Here's another thing going against him, right? Ankalaev's had 22 professional fights, right? He's lost 1.
Wow.
And that one, he lost in the last second in London via submission. He's never been knocked out, mate. And he's fought some big lads. He's been hit a few times.
So
it's stacked against him.
For anybody that doesn't know the sport, that is a very strong record, right?
Unbelievable record.
Like one of the best records, if not the best record out.
It doesn't happen normally.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the odd. Habib was undefeated, but to only lose 1 through 20 odd fights is just ridiculous. So he's up against it tonight. Is Alex Pereira? I think he's the fans' favourite. A lot of fans will be absolutely buzzing if he manages to pull it off. But Ankalaev just has the skill set to be able to get the job done. And in the co-main event, smaller fellas, bantamweights, Merab Dvalishvili. He's got an opportunity tonight. If he wins against another top contender, that'll be his 3rd defence of his championship this year. He did one in January against Umar Nurmagomedov, did one against Sean O'Malley, and he can do one tonight against Corey Sandhagen. If he pulls that off, I think he's absolutely a shoo-in for Fighter of the Year, but just because of the amount of defences, of high-level defences that he's managed to pull off this year. So that's that. And then, of course, at the end of the month, Tom Aspinall's back. The Heavyweight Championship of the World, which is something that we haven't had for, I think it's 18 months, something like that. Maybe even longer. Tom Aspinall's fighting in Abu Dhabi. British lad, heavyweight champion. Mate, dominating.
What dreams are made of.
That's what dreams
are made of.
We'll finish the show with a little bit of boxing, but that's how it's all shaping up in the world of MMA. Just a little bit of a shout out as well. I will do an extensive chat on this at some point on talkSPORT about last night's PFL where Paul Hughes for Usman Nurmagomedov, very, very tight fight. The judging and the refereeing was absolutely shocking. Everybody knows I like to moan about officials in fight sports. That's coming your way over the next week, so keep an eye out for that on my socials. I'll make sure it gets your way. We'll finish the show, though, by looking ahead to next week's boxing live on talkSPORT from Sheffield.
champion, the White Rhino, dazzling Dave Allen.
What a delight to be in Sheffield next weekend, and a delight to be bringing it here live on talkSPORT. Make sure you're tuning in. International football breaks. There'll be a bit of that knocking about, obviously. A lot of interest in everything that's happening with the England team over the 2 fixtures that they've got over the next week. But tune into the boxing, because next week in Sheffield, I think the atmosphere is going to be pretty special. Been to some good ones in Sheffield. It's always a little bit of a hum. And I think with the resurgence of what Dave Allen has managed to do over the last 12 to 18 months, I think this is going to be some atmosphere next weekend.
Yeah, I agree. You know, Dave Allen is a fan's favourite. Anyone that knows him is sort of like, he captivates you. Do you know what I mean?
It feels like
gravitate.
Feels like your mate's having a fight.
Yeah, that's it. You gravitate towards him. It's just there's a nice aura around him, you know. And I think that he's that guy that in 2019, when you see him lose to David Price and retire on the stool, you think, right, he's found his ceiling, he's found his level. The ambition hasn't seemed to have been there. He's fought small hall shows, overweight, and you just think that's it now. He's like that's his career. And
I think he's because he's been open as well about the demons that he's
mental
faced.
health. He's struggled, and
he's been really transparent and open about that. And I think a lot of people have bought into just his journey, and to see him back now in a place where it's real. It's success now. He's had 2 great performances against Johnny Fisher. He's now got this massive opportunity headlining this show next weekend. And as you've highlighted on a couple of occasions during this, mate, today, who knows what happens next? Who knows what comes at the start of 2026? It can only be something, especially with the landscape that we've got in heavyweights, it can only be something astronomical.
It'll be huge. It'll be life-changing. If Dave Allen comes through this fight against Makhmudov, which we expect he will, we suspect, he will.
It's tough.
And he will, right, here we go. I'm going to put it out there. He starts underdog.
Oh, yeah, massive.
But I've got something in me that tells me he's going to do it, because I just think he slips, slides, rolls, and I think he's got more to his game. And Makhmudov is that guy where I've looked at him and I go, is that character that he will come apart, he will unfold. And I think that Allen has the shot selection, the boxing IQ to do that. Like, I would go in Dave Allen. I really fancy him in this one. And I fancy him against Deontay Wilder next. I just feel that is the path. I've got this feeling in me that that's where they're going to go. I know that Dave's got a massive appetite for fighting Deontay, because he likes that fear factor, Dave, that brings the best out in him. Well, he's picked a monster in Makhmudov.
Yeah.
And he'll go for another one in Deontay Wilder.
I think he's got all the character traits to be able to break the heart of Makhmudov. Yeah. And what we've seen against Caballel, what we've seen in the fight that he lost. Who did he lose to? I've just lost the train of thought there. Makhmudov, he lost to Caballel, and then he lost to
Vinanello.
Vianello. Of course he did. Apologies. I was going to name a different fight.
KO8 with that swollen eye.
But what happens is that when it was put on him, his heart breaks, and therefore he stops doing all the things that make him successful. Dave Allen's got all the character traits to break his heart next week in order to get the victory.
Totally agree, mate. Totally agree. It's as simple as that. I think that Dave Allen, he's got to weather an early rush, an early storm, which I think he does, because he's great at slipping, sliding, moving. You know, he's got a lot to his game, and he's a wily old fox, Dave Allen. You know, he boxes like he's very, very cute. And I just think that he does weather that storm. He takes a great shot as well. And I think by round 3, he starts turning it around massively. And by round 6, 7...
You think he can stop him?
Yeah. I'm going to put it out there now. Dave Allen KO round 7.
Oh, that's big, mate. That's big. From our conversation a little earlier on with Junaid Boston, I'll tell you what, he fills you with an awful amount of confidence, doesn't he? It's nice to speak to a fighter that has learnt, grown, developed, and he's really looking forward to put into practice what he's obviously been doing in the gym over the last 6 months. I don't want to get too carried away with myself with it. He's got an amazing amount of talent. If the head's switched on, if he's zoned in, I think you could see a special performance from Junaid Boston next weekend.
I totally agree, mate. I totally agree. Like, you know, you look at those, you know, we were talking about Ben Whitaker, and going back into that.
Similar.
rematch
It's
with
a
Liam
similar
Cameron.
thing, that,
Yeah.
isn't it?
You go, well, I'm not sure he can do it. If he can, is that his ceiling? Perhaps he can't cut it as a pro. Liam Cameron's a tough old guy. We know what he'll bring. This is going to be interesting. It's all about Ben Whitaker, and he delivered.
Yeah.
And I think now I know he can kick on. I think we get the same here with Jenade Boston as well. I think Fawaz is a great fighter.
Yeah.
I'm not underestimating him at all. I think he's very, very good. But I think Boston, he could be special.
My little tip for Fight of the Night next weekend, away from the two that we just spoke about, because I think both of those will be great. Josh Padley, Reece Bellotti. Bellotti's on a resurgence. Padley's just flying. Everything's going to be great, man.
Do you know what? And we haven't talked about that yet.
It's going to be great.
I've got a lot of talking points about that one, and we'll save that for when in the build-up. But that could be Fight of the Night. Josh Padley, Reece Bellotti. That is a barn burner.
Now then, we are back together on Monday with Simon. So make sure you subscribe to the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. And then next week, we'll be live in Sheffield for Fight Night Live. We'll catch you next time.